I'm going to call the public hearing to order. This public hearing is for the consideration of the Virginia Data Center retail sales and use tax exemption. At this time, I will open the floor for public comment. If anybody is here in the audience, and I think we'll probably allow telephonic public comment on that as well. If anybody has a remark on that, you can please speak now at the podium, or you can call in your public remark on that.
Three 0357.
And the phone number, if you'd like to give a public remark on the Virginia Data Center retail sales and use tax exemption, is 276-333-0357.
Where is this one? Item 17.
Budget
Can't find it. It is.
in April, or is it one of these 2 days?
No, it's different now.
Next week, Monday and
This
Tuesday.
is
I know,
the
but when's the school?
financing agreement. Okay. Now, the item 17 is a
I'm pulling my
is an
last year
ordinance.
budget and
Yeah.
bringing it, and I'm gonna do comparison.
yes.
I think there's other challenge.
I have a copy of that resolution.
I saw it was in the minutes, but I was trying to figure out what page it was on.
What's that, Shelby?
That ordinance.
That ordinance was,
And you say that's in the board packet?
no, it wasn't, but it described what it was.
That's right there it is, I believe. It is item 17, and so there are two 17s.
Lunch.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the
So it
board
is in
package,
there.
I believe. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Yes, sir.
it's, the item 17 is ordinance to establish and set data center personal property tax. It is in the package, and it is,
Now, this one was for the data center that we're having right now.
yes,
I
it
have
is.
nothing in
It's
17.
it's item 17.
I didn't either.
Still working on it, finalizing it.
It's probably in the addition.
I know
It's at the front. It's at the front. It's right after, it's right after 17A, or 7A, 7A,
Seven, oh, okay.
right after 7A.
I thought I read it.
I had that stuff already for extra stuff and all this other stuff we added
don't have
to
it.
see.
It's in your addition.
Oh, in addition.
And for the public who may not be here and who may be listening, Mr. Chairman, a brief explanation of this ordinance. The ordinance is as a result of Dickinson County, Lee County, Scott County, and the City of Norton coming together to try to attract data centers to Southwest Virginia. Data centers bring a lot of jobs and a lot of potential revenue to a particular region. My understanding is there may be expansion of data centers out of Northern Virginia. That's where most of them are. And the intent is to try to set a uniform and consistent tax rate and depreciation rate for data center equipment, which is very expensive, and it's very costly to establish one of those from standpoint of putting all the equipment, data equipment center together to make it work. And so the four counties, Dickinson, Lee, Scott, and Wise, and City of Norton, through the Lonesome Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, are setting consistent rates to tax the personal property in the data centers. In addition, the Commissioner of Revenues of each of these localities also setting a depreciation schedule, proposed depreciation schedule. And if you recall, this board adopted a memorandum of understanding last meeting, and that's in your package as exhibit number 1. So it's a combination of tax rate and the depreciation schedule for data center equipment that the region is trying to adopt, that it's uniform and consistent, and so that the counties don't compete against each other and try to outbid each other on data center tax rate and depreciation schedule. So in sort of nutshell, that's what it is. And we're probably one of the first in the region of Southwest Virginia to adopt this proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Yes, that's very good. We have a site that we would absolutely love to see a facility potentially locate, so very important.
It's my understanding, last comment, Mr. Chairman, is once this is adopted by all of the counties and city of Norton, that there could be a prospect of a data center coming to this region. And there was urgency, that's why we did it quickly, because of the urgency of maybe a potential data center would be potentially looking at Southwest Virginia, these counties, or in city of Norton to locate.
Madam Clerk, do we have any calls? If it's okay with the board, I think we'll close public comment, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
I make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. The public hearing will be adjourned. Now reopen the second public hearing of the evening. This is a public hearing for consideration of the fiscal year 2021, 2022 tax levies that have been advertised recently. So this public hearing is now called to order on the tax levies for the upcoming fiscal year. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment regarding the tax levies for this next fiscal year, please feel free to approach the podium. Or if you have a phone comment and would like to make that via telephone, you may do so by calling 276-333-0357, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, you may want to let your county administrator summarize if there's any changes at all for the proposed rates.
Sure, Mr. Barton, if you want to have the floor, I believe our advertisement is to keep level, the tax rates level from last year, but you can certainly have the floor to elaborate on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Of course, the purpose for our public hearing is to hear any public comment on the proposed tax levies. And of course, as Chairman Evans stated, there is no proposed change to the levies from the current year. Our current real estate rate is 60 cents per hundred. Mobile homes is 60 cents per $100 in value. Merchants capital is $10.50. Personal property is $1.85 per 100 at 100% of assessed value. Machinery and tools is $1.85 per 100 at 100% of assessed value. Again, there's no changes to the proposed tax levies for the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Does anybody have any questions for Larry on that? Podium is open for anybody who'd like to make an in-person remark. Telephone line is open, 276-333-0357.
I was gonna say something, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's okay, you're okay to take your mask off as long as we stay the 6 feet, but it's a personal decision. Correct me if I said something
Right, you
wrong.
got to separate, got to be 6 feet
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
We were a family, and so I.
No, I
Same
understand.
household, yeah.
I understand.
I didn't know you were all sort of family, so I understand.
I assumed you
I did
were.
too.
Her brother and sister.
We have to talk every once in a while.
Okay.
Read the phone number one more time in case anybody just logged on to our YouTube live feed. If you'd like to call in regarding the 2020 2021 tax levies for the next fiscal year, you may do so by calling 276-333-0357. And I guess, Adam, is that number scrolling too? Okay, thank you. That's good. Now, 5 minutes before our regular meeting, I think it'd be a good time to entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing, and if anybody needs to use the restroom or do anything else before the meeting starts, entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing, if that's pleasing to the board.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing.
Or second,
I'll second that.
any further discussion? All those in favor of adjourning the public hearing on the tax levies, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye as well. Public hearing will be adjourned. Our regular meeting will start in about 5 minutes. Call this regular meeting of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to order. Today is March 23rd, 2021. Would note for the record that all members of the board are present, along with Mr. Larry Barton, County Administrator, Mr. Bud Phillips, County Attorney, and Ms. Teresa Lyle, Clerk to the board. If it's okay, we'll open the board meeting with a
And
brief-
Adam back here.
And Mr. Mullins, the technology representative for the board that's running our meeting for YouTube and accepting our calls for us. If we can join our hearts here in a brief word of prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you as humbly as we know how. We thank you for this beautiful day here in Dickinson County. I ask that your hand be over this meeting as we go forward with the county's business. I ask a special blessing on each home that's represented here tonight. I ask for your wisdom and knowledge and understanding moving forward. I ask for your hand to be over any family that's suffering here in Dickinson County, with sickness or anything else otherwise. I ask again for your blessing over this meeting and that everything we do be pleasing unto you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ron, do you mind to open the chair? Pledge.
If everyone stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Paul.
Move on to item number 3, the approval of the minutes from our February 23rd meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes, and is there any questions on those minutes, or additions or changes? Hearing no discussion
Well, I
or,
have just one thing. Did they get that, did they have that lead? Have they had that yet? That,
No, they've not had the class yet, but they're still getting people to sign up. I talked to Mr. Mormons today, actually, so.
If there's no discussion or any correction, I make a motion we approve the agenda.
is there a second?
I mean, minutes, I'm sorry.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Any further discussion on the minutes from February? All those in favor of Ms. Wilson's motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Well, we have several supplements to our packet and modifications to the agenda. The first thing that I would request the board modify, we have Mr. Rife here from Tax. He's traveled a good distance from Richmond to be here tonight, and he's going back home to his family, his mother and father over in Buchanan County. I would like to give him the courtesy to help him maybe get out of here a little bit early. Could we maybe make Mr. Rife in Tax 4A, so that as soon as we approve the agenda, we would have him and let him present, and that way he can go home after a long trip. Would everybody be okay with that?
I'm good with
I
it.
think in
I'm
the
good
supplement,
with
they
it.
had it at 7A, but I would suggest we move it to 4A.
Sure.
Okay, and then we also have the other, go ahead, did somebody, you have something, Shep?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I'm
and we
sorry.
had, I think item 15, that's just the information. Larry, was there a 7B?
You've got, yeah, you do have. It's on the
Go ahead and
addition.
strike that, Mr. Chair, we don't have that.
Right, okay,
You don't have 17B?
no, 7.
7B.
So we have a 7, so I guess we'll have a 7A.
We got 7.
So we'll have a 7A.
Do you have this, Josh?
What is that?
This is those additions.
Yeah, he's got this.
Yeah, okay, yes. I was just trying to go with the modification on Mr.
Yeah,
Rife.
yeah.
So, with the exclusion of Mr. Rife, then we'll just change it A, B, C, D on the way down on 7, right? Everybody follow me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we would have 17, so. If everybody's okay with 4A, and then we would be 7A through D, and then 17. Those would be the modifications to the
Yeah.
agenda. If we're on the same page, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Did you add, Mr. Chairman, what you was gonna add to the agenda? I forgot what it's concerning.
Yes, that's right. We do need to add that, Larry. I know that information's in here, but I don't. Yes, it's 7C. That's 7C.
All right, thank you. I'm making sure. I know
Yeah,
you sent
that's
me a
7C. I
text
thought
on
it
it.
was.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask if we can add to 17, our closed session, or
Yes, ma'am.
20, excuse me, 20, item 20, closed session. Can we add county personnel to that, please?
I don't have any objection to that.
Mr. Chairman, that would be
You have to do another
section
thing.
2.3-3711A1. So it would be B. You got A, 20A, you would have 20B, section
Yes.
2.3-3711A1, 1 personnel all.
Anybody have any objection to that? Okay. All right, so we would need a motion to modify the agenda with 4A for Mr. Rife, 7A through D with the supplements that we have with our addendum, 17 that we have with our addendum, and then Ms. Kaiser's amendment or addition to item 20B. Will somebody make that motion for those amendments to the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further additions or discussion on the modification of the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Mr. Rife, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, thank you for the accommodation and moving me up in the agenda. I know Mom will be happy to see me a little bit early. I'm not looking forward to hanging out with her cats.
Would you give me credit for that, please?
I will give you credit for it. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will. It's been a while since I've been before the board, so I thought I would take just a minute. We provided a report to the board just to describe the process a little bit, but I want to go back over the services that we provide through the treasurer's office in our litigation. Our firm, Tax and Authority Consulting Services, only collects delinquent accounts for governmental entities. We also do some bankruptcy work, but we're only working for local governments and the Virginia Department of Taxation. We represent about 80 localities throughout the Commonwealth, and I'm a little embarrassed to say that, except for my home county of Buchanan County, we represent all of Southwest Virginia. So, still working on that one, the last one. But I've been doing this since I graduated law school in 2000 over at ASL, and I love what I do. I think we do a good job at it. I think there were some questions that were raised about the cost of the process, so I thought I'd take just a minute just to go over that with the board. Our fees are contingent in nature, so the attorney's fees are actually added on to the delinquent taxpayer's bill. So the county doesn't pay anything for the costs of our firm, but there are certain inherent litigation costs that go along with real estate tax collection. Now, some of those have been lessened significantly in the last year to year and a half with the recent change to the tax sale statutes that allows smaller parcels, which is the bulk majority of what you have in the county, smaller parcels that are valued under $25,000 that they may qualify for a non-judicial sale process. So if we can take them through the non-judicial sale process and not have to go to court, not have to do an order of publication, and not have to pay to have a guardian ad litem, it saves on those costs significantly. So that's a recent change that you may not see that has come about just yet, but all the new parcels that we have that were taken through the sale process, they'll go through the non-judicial sale if they qualify. Now, the costs are recovered through the tax sale process. So for the most part, we don't like to sell real estate. We're not realtors. We like to collect the money that's due to the locality. So hopefully folks pay up, and then when they do, and even when we put them on a payment plan, the costs that are incurred are paid first. So before the county gets any tax penalty or interest, we're recovering those costs and sending those back to the county. So and there's no fee on the cost. It's just whatever the cost is. We do try to keep it as low as possible. But if it does go on to tax sale and it's sold at a tax sale, then hopefully it brings enough at tax sale to be able to recover everything. But even where it doesn't bring enough to cover all the tax penalty and interest, the costs are still recovered first. Now, there are certain instances where a parcel, you can't hardly give it away. And if there are costs that are involved there, they may not be recovered. And in that case, we'll recover as much as we can for the cost, but there's no attorney fee for taking it all the way through the litigation process, but there's also no tax penalty and interest that comes in. So we do try to bulk group all these together so that when we come to a tax sale, that we're able to have a number of parcels that gin up the interest, because really, the recovery that you get is going to be dependent upon how big your crowd is, and hopefully everybody's there is interested. Hopefully, there are two people there interested in every single one of the parcels, so you got them
Competitive,
against each
yeah.
other. And the best ones are when they're neighbors and they're fighting over the one in between them. But that's our goal, is to try to get as many as we can at a single time, with the break point being about probably 25 to 30 properties, because if you go any more than that, people just simply run out of money, and you're not doing yourself any good. But there are some things that I've pointed to in our report to the board that may be able to lessen these costs. And as these costs are recovered, I think I indicated to the board that so far since 2014, since we started, the costs were around $103,000, but we recovered approximately, I think, 52,000 of that, if I'm doing the math in my head or remembering that correctly. Half of those costs have been recovered, and the other ones, we have a number of parcels that are going through the litigation process now, that a good portion of the remaining ones will be recovered. So it's not like you've lost that money. It's coming back to you. It's just coming back slower than what you've fronted those costs. But there are some things that I would recommend that the board may want to consider to lessen that burden, and one of them is the county does not charge the administrative fee that's allowed under 58.1 3958. And this isn't just for the parcels that go over to us for sale process, but you also have some inherent costs that the county has to bear in mailing delinquent notices and things like that. So that administrative fee is $30 that the board could consider. And you can make it on every delinquent bill, or you could limit it and say, well, just the parcels that are sent over for tax sale are going to have that. And that would give you a pool of funds from which you can draw. But I just throw that out as something that the board might want to consider. I know there were some.
Section again, please.
Sure, it's 58.1, 3958.
I assume we would just need to do that by resolution.
It says that the board may. It doesn't indicate that it has to be by ordinance or by
So we
resolution.
could just do
We can vote
an
on it.
informal sort of vote then, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but I wanted to give the board a brief overview of the process, and I did so as a part of the report that I gave you. But the good news is a good portion of your properties in the future are going to be able to go through the non-judicial sale process, which is faster and it's cheaper. We're out-of-pocket certified mail and posting if it has road frontage, and we do have to get a title report on it because we still want to convey good, clear, marketable title to the property.
And may I,
Please.
the non-judicial sale, I mean, so that's for properties between $10,000 and $25,000?
Yes, if it's under $10,000, whether it's improved or unimproved, it's subject to the process. If it's between $10,001 and $25,000, and it's up to an acre in size, and it's unimproved and considered to be unbuildable, which a lot of mountain land is going to be considered to be unbuildable, then it can be subject to this process.
And so unimproved means there's no home on it?
I think you have to read unimproved. In all these statutes are construed strictly against the locality. So if you have a shed on the property, or if you even have something that the county is taxing as an improvement, a concrete slab for a mobile home, I think that's probably going to qualify as an improvement.
And how many of those accounts do you have of the potential non-judicial sale for Dickinson County?
I can get you that number. I did not prep for that number though, Mr. Evans.
Do you have a guess? Is it single digits, or is it more than 10 or less than 10?
No. It's so total accounts that we're collecting right now are 815 parcels. I would venture a guess that probably, except for the mineral properties that we may have, I'm going to say probably half of those qualify for a non-judicial sale process.
And so all those are delinquent accounts, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the treasurer could be doing those non-judicial sales.
Well, I'm going to caution you against that because you've got a couple of issues. You're selling someone's property and you're doing it from the government perspective. So you've got a good portion of due process that you got to consider.
Well, what is that if it's a non-judicial sale? What is the due process?
Well, the due process is you have to give notice. We're also, in addition.
You actually have to serve them?
Well, you have to send them certified notice, but.
So you mail them something, that's easy.
It is,
Right.
sure, but you also have to do the research to see, the term airship property, honestly, you go anywhere else in the Commonwealth and you don't, no one knows what you're talking about. We all know what that is, because, Granddaddy's house was never probated after he passed. So you've got 3 generations of people that all need notice, and you gotta let them know that something's going on with it. Because if someone didn't get notice and they have an interest in the property, they later could come back and challenge the tax sale. Because again, these statutes are all strictly construed against the locality.
So if it's a non-judicial sale, and so what is your fee on a hypothetical? Is it based on the amount you collect, then you do your contingency fee?
It's 20% if there are funds.
20%?
20%, yes. So as you can imagine, if the county's owed $100, I mean, we're, for $20, we're taking it through a non-judicial
So
sale.
basically, though, the process, just so the public understands, so if it's owned by Josh Evans, that's who the tax ticket's going to.
That's correct.
It would simply be really a matter of correlating that to title in the clerk's office in the circuit court, basically.
Yes,
And if
and
Josh
they-
Evans is on the deed, then that's a relatively simple, you send Josh Evans the certified notice and sell it.
Unless you have a deed of trust on the property, and then
Well, then you're right,
it no longer qualifies.
but I guess what I'm saying is, if there's 800 and some, and a good portion, what'd you say, half of those are non-judicial
Yes.
potential?
Yes, but my question back, though, would be, why would you want the treasurer to have to do that, which would take additional resources and probably require
We just
additional
have to pay
staff?
20%.
Well, you don't. You don't pay it. The delinquent taxpayer pays it.
Well, I know that, but we're losing 20%.
No, sir. So if you're owed $100, the bill that goes out of my office is $120. You're not losing 20%. If everything is recovered, which most of these do through redemptions, you get dollar for dollar.
So if there's a delinquent property, whatever the amount of the delinquency is, you sell it for $10,000, your fee is $2,000. So if you only sell it for $10,000, then how do you get $12,000?
No. So you don't mix up the sale with what the county's owed. If we sell a property and the county's owed $10,000.
All right, and then the owner gets whatever we're not owed. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so, but let's say the county's owed $10,000. When the treasurer sends that account over to us, our fee is added to the taxpayer's bill. So we bill them for $12,000. If we have to take it all the way through tax sale, we recover the $10,000 that's owed, and the $2,000 is paid to us.
Well, what if you don't get the $10,000?
Then we just recover pro rata. So let's say we only collected $1,000, then my fee is $200.
Okay, let me ask, you don't go back, the bill isn't the back taxes, it's just the current tax,
Oh, it's
correct?
it's the back tax.
It's the back taxes also?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Do you know what's the amount of delinquent taxes owed to Dickinson County as we speak? Do you know that number?
Oh, let's see.
I thought I seen it in an email, 1.7 million.
Yeah, yes.
That's
sir.
as we're talking right now, this county, who's back against a wall, is owed 1.7 million in delinquent taxes.
1.7 million, yes.
So why did we only do 150,000 last year?
Well, it takes a while to move these through the tax.
But we're owed 1.7.
I understand, and we're just about half we're at almost 50% on collection rate of but every year new accounts are turned over to us, so we're collecting on those as we go.
And I'm not fussing really, my argument probably not with you as much, but I was just trying to get and elaborate for everybody else, and I didn't understand it that much, but I do pretty well now. I appreciate it, thank you.
It's a, oh,
I
sorry.
got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
I got a few questions, actually. So, understandably, there are some properties, because they've went so long now, they're a liability to the county, and we're never gonna get our tax bill out of it. And you end up, when you do sell it, it has to be that way.
Well,
You know,
why
it's-
would we let one linger that long?
Well, that's the history of the county, and that's what we're
Well,
trying
that's
to
not our
fix it.
problem. I
What?
mean, that's not, that we can't sell property for delinquent taxes.
It's been a problem in this county, is what I'm saying.
Well, so, and we're working on the
I
older
know
ones.
you are.
Trying to get the old ones caught up, so.
Well,
that
how old of a delinquency do you have? What's
They-
the oldest one you got?
They can go back 20 years.
I know that. What's the oldest one you have for Dickinson County?
20 years.
So why has that not
So-
something been done?
Well, so some of them are low value, and you're not gonna stop collecting on the ones that are, we're sending letters out, and we may just not go to litigation on some of those older ones, but, our goal is to mix these up. So when you go to court, or when you have an auction, you're gonna have some dog properties, and you're gonna have some, good properties. And you wanna do that because if you bring all your bad properties to sale, you're not gonna have a very good auction. So we try to combine it so that you have good properties along with bad properties and bring out a bigger crowd.
Some properties you can't get anything out of, right?
Some of them you can't.
Won't sell, it won't sell.
Well, so if we're talking about all these properties that are not worth anything, then how do we get to $1.7 million? How did
Because
we
it
get-
don't sell, right?
Well,
Can we
one of-
shorten that length of
So
going
800
20
accounts, you're
years?
telling me that they can't sell out of 800
I
parcels?
don't know, I'm just, you
Well-
have to ask.
Well, that's what you said.
One of
I'm
your-
just
I'm
asking
just
you.
asking why do we wait 20 years? I mean,
We
why,
don't.
pardon me?
But we don't. We're working these, and we're working the
Can
older
we
ones.
shorten that if people don't go? How long does the treasurer's office,
20 years.
Well, let me,
20 years?
No, that's
Stay on
kind of
record.
my
let me
That's
add
just-
something here.
Sorry.
Okay, I've been around just long enough to hear some different pieces of this, and I know that we had some discussions last term about a piece of property that in the 70s, they went after these folks to get it. They hired a lawyer, and then they got concerned because of the screaming from the public, and they backed away.
What does that
And
have
so
to do
we-
with anything?
Well, it has to do with that's, we haven't done this in years.
It's the treasurer's obligation. It's not we. That's what the
I-
Constitution says about
I'm
the
not-
treasurer. The
we
treasurer's
had a-
office does this, not you or me or
The
this board.
suit, when the treasurer did it, they came to the board of supervisors to hire an attorney to do all the
They
tax
didn't come to
deed
this
work.
board. I don't know when you, that's what
That
you're
happened-
talking about doesn't matter to this conversation.
It does to explain the whole length of how long these properties been sitting
The
there.
1970s would be more than 20 years. We're talking about
Exactly.
to 2000.
But
So no, what you're talking about doesn't have anything to do with
I know
what
when
I'm
I
saying.
got here in 2012, Josh, one of the concerns I had was I have a piece of property that's my wife's airship in, and it may be gone now, finally. But still, because it came up with a snag. But for 20 years, I watched no taxes paid on that because it was an airship. A lot of times, the people on the deed aren't living anymore, and
And
that complicates
What
it.
would 1.7 million do for our budget?
We can't collect
I agree,
that.
but we
How
need
do
to.
you know that?
I'm
Because
working
he's
on it.
telling us
Yeah, he's
that.
working on it.
I'm
Well,
working-
it's
I'm
not
working on it.
It's
150,000
very
last
simple to
year.
understand. If he could collect it, he'd already collected. He can't collect
Well,
it.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yeah,
speak?
go ahead.
I worked in the courthouse for 20-some years. And I know previous treasurers sold property constantly on the front steps of the courthouse. Delinquent taxes, they sold them on the front door of the courthouse constantly when I worked in the courthouse.
The treasurer did?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's called a non-judicial, that's what the
Well,
code says. they can do.
the non-judicial sale didn't enter
start
into
then.
existence until probably
Oh, they
in
just sold
2000.
property that was delinquent on the front door of the courthouse.
Yeah,
And I think Mr. Phillips will attest to that also.
It looks like it was
I don't know how long that
2004,
statute has not been
2004.
used.
The
but
bottom line is, it's not costing us anything.
Well, you just said he couldn't collect them, so why do we have him in
can't
under
collect.
contract?
The treasurer can't, nobody can collect
Well, then why is
that.
he here?
Mr. Evans, I
We're
promise
trying
you,
to
I
understand the
am very
process.
good at what
Well, I
I do.
understand it.
Otherwise, I don't think 80 localities would have us doing this work. So I can't collect 100% of what is due
No.
Well,
next month for.
With all due
but
respect, well, you said we had 1.7 million that's owed to us. You collected 182,000 last year.
Mr. Evans, since 2014, I've collected 1.5 million.
We're owed 1.7 million as we
Understand.
speak. You collected 182,000 last year.
I understand.
But you
So you're
collected
doing your job.
1.5.
Yes, sir. It's just
We're,
not.
we're literally scraping up the barrel to pay our bills, and we have $1.7 million that are owed to us.
That just
And-
explains how deep the problem was for years. Let me ask you this.
And it was 200, so and it was 240 last year. So of 1.7 million, in 3 years, we've collected, trying to do the math,
You said
what,
1.5.
400,000, is that right, or less?
400 thousand, I think. 150.
But let's see, you
But you just said he couldn't
Mr.
collect it,
Edwards.
so.
is the
I'm not-
one that
I
hired
don't
you
think
first,
anybody-
right? Danny Edwards.
Yes, he was, in
Yeah.
2014. It was the last part of
2014.
2014.
I wasn't sure what year
I
it
heard that
was.
argument in 2014 going on.
But, Mr. Evans, I assure you that we are doing best efforts to collect on the accounts. There are some that take a little longer than others. One of the properties that you have is that's one of your larger ones, and it deals with a pipeline, which is likely that assessment's probably gonna go away. Simply because there's a question as to whether or not it's taxable. That's about, I think that one's probably about $140,000 it's owed.
What do you mean it's going away?
Well, they're not sure that it can be taxed. So we're working with the Commissioner's office now to figure that out.
These are complicated cases and stuff.
It's all
And
complicated.
complicated by years of us not going after it. And my hat's off to you, Angie, because you're the first one I seen that did try to do something.
Thank you, Lon, I appreciate it.
And what I guess here's my question, and we wanted to get to, is, so what year group are we looking at our focus? How, because I know you did some later ones initially, because they're sitting there a year's falling off the books every year.
Right.
Is there a certain year group we're at right now?
We're focusing on, we're trying to get the older years so we can get
Yes.
the ones that are back in 20 years old to get those paid up. But some of the newer ones that come in, like I said, we're trying to take a good property and pair that with the bad so that when we take it through the sale process, they'll be coming to auction at the
Who
same time.
determines what's good and what's
Well,
bad?
that's what I was going, y'all
Well-
come out and view the property, or?
No, well, we, not until we get to the point where we're getting ready to sell it, and then we have the auctioneer that
Right.
help us out. And the auctioneer is also paid through a buyer's premium, so that the high bidder pays the auctioneer's fee. So that also is not even paid by the county. But if the board would please, I mean, if there, I mentioned the administrative fee, that $30
Yeah, I think
administrative
that's a
fee.
good idea.
If in fact the
I'd-
board were to adopt that, I know the costs are a concern, so what I would suggest is, if we could use that $30 that's on it, we'll just use the 30 and we'll front the costs so that those aren't actually being, billed to the county. Now, ultimately, as I mentioned in my report, let's say we've gone through the litigation process and Angie doesn't like the tie I'm wearing because it's too pink. She decides to fire me. Then if we have costs that aren't recovered, those ultimately are the client's responsibility. But that would be the olive branch that I would offer to the county, is that we'll front those so that you're not having to pay those out. So you won't see those invoices come in any longer. Although
Any other counties doing that? Charging the $30?
most localities are.
What do they usually, can you give us an example of what they may accumulate for that? I mean,
It just depends on how many delinquent accounts you have. Obviously, the more populated localities are going to have a larger
But until you
amount.
sell it, it don't matter anyway.
the county's sort of similar. How about Buchanan County? Did they do that?
Well,
Well, you're not, well, I tried. You
I'm
don't
not
have
working for
Buchanan
them. But
I'm
the.
sorry. You don't have a can-
I think Wise County does collect that. City of Bristol, I know, does. I don't know that Lee County does. Russell County does not, I don't think. So, but there are a good number of localities that
But this
are.
$30 would be paid by it's not coming out, who buys?
You would
them?
just add it to the bill when you
Bill.
write the check for the,
Right, well, so when Angie sends up the accounts to us, BAI is the software that she uses. It has the ability to add that on. So it's actually, it'll show as a receivable. I'm not sure how, Mr. Barton, you'd want to book that. But if we're keeping the fee to cover the litigation cost, you may not see that coming back in. We can work out how we need to from a financial
But the
perspective.
person who gets it will pay the $30,
you
right?
would just add it like, when I come up to pay my bill, which I bought some property from you, you would just add it to that?
No, you wouldn't have to pay it as the purchaser of property. But if I was collecting against that property that you bought because you haven't paid the bill, then when you get the $100 bill for the taxes, it's going to have my $20 and it's going to have the $30. So it'll be $150 that you'd have to pay.
Plus your recording fee.
The owner.
Question.
No, yeah, so if you own the property and you're delinquent, that's the bill that you're going to get.
Okay.
So, and the $30, if you pay your bill and redeem it before we have to take it to a tax sale, that $30 is just going to be used to help offset the cost of the litigation.
I've got a question. These are turned over to you and then you offer them to make payments,
Yes.
okay? How long does a payment plan last for?
Well, we don't set somebody up on a payment plan that doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
we try to get, initially, we try to get half up front, and we go down to a down payment of 25%, just because payment plans work a whole lot better if folks have skin in the game.
Yes.
And then we try to get it paid off within 6 months, no longer than a year.
That's good news.
Now there are hardship cases. That,
No, I
yeah.
understand, but I think I asked it before and I just didn't remember, but we're making progress towards, because not all of them are immediately solved. A lot of people do the payment plan, which is a good thing. We're helping people get there.
And if they want to pay $10 a month on a $1,000 debt, we explain to them why that doesn't work for,
Yeah.
for them with the 10% penalty
Yeah.
and the 10% interest and our fee. I mean, it just, they would never dig out of the hole.
I don't have anything else for you. Thank you for making the trip.
Oh, no, my pleasure. So happy to.
Thank you.
How long is it before Angie declares a delinquent and sends it to you?
Oh,
We started out 20 years, and then we just kept going down. The law in the state of Virginia is 2 years delinquent. We've not turned over any, just 2 years. So we're working from 20 down. I guess some of the last ones we sent were probably like 2014 or 15, I'm not sure. But.
This is kind of a personal question to you, Angie. Not personal, but what I mean is, what is your goal at the end game if we ever do collect all this? How long do we allow someone to go delinquent? Some regions it's 3 years, or some places. I'll share with you why I know a little bit about. I called around when we started. We adopted an ordinance that you have to get a building permit. You have to have your taxes paid. So you have to get something from Angie's office saying they're paid. But I own property on the other side of the state, and I asked them what they do, if they had any similar policies and stuff, and the lady was point blank and cold about it. She just said, we don't do any of that nonsense. If it's 3 years delinquent, their property's sold, and it's over with. And that's the way they conduct their business. So I'm just curious, what is our goal? I'm not saying it should be 3 years, but there should be a goal where we say this is what we consider.
My ultimate goal is they would be any delinquent, but we know that's not ever gonna happen.
No, I
In a lot
know.
of cases, they get paid off, even on payment plans, and they get right back in the same shape again. So some of them we've had to turn over a second
Yeah.
time, you know. it's-
I understand, and that's typical.
And then I think last year, we only got to have one lane sale due to COVID, so.
Yeah, that kind of put a damper on things last year too. Yeah.
We're probably gonna end up having 2 this year, just because we have so many that have built
Yeah,
up.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, cause I hadn't even thought about that.
And I have attended those sales, and there's some pieces of property there is no bid on. I mean, people just does not speak up to make even $100 bid for whatever.
Yeah, and we're exploring some options to be able to open this up to get better attendance and.
Well, and I guess I would add something
Yeah,
else
those
for
are
the
the
public
rumors
to understand. Look around the county and see how many empty houses we have.
Must have been good.
And pretty soon, they're gonna
It was
look at
cool.
some of the houses that we've got a grant and trammel right now demolition. When they go too long, then they become a liability and taxpayer dollars have to be used to get rid of those properties. And then we have to look the other, we passed a special thing so that we could dump the residue, the building materials from the torn down house without that being part of the grant, you know, to take care of this, but these blighted properties. So it's important that we get a handle on this.
Some of this property that's owed taxes, I mean, I know of a house that is falling down. It's all grew up around, and both the husband and wife is deceased. They only had one child, and he's deceased. And he has a juvenile son that is not a resident of the county, as far as I'm aware of this one particular. Then what happens to that property? I
Well,
mean, there's no heirs for that because they're all deceased except for that
If they don't pay their
child.
taxes, it goes up delinquent.
And if it's a judicial sale,
Yeah.
we'll have a guardian ad litem appointed, and, then, we'll take it through and sell it. Those types of parcels are ones that we like to know about, so we can put them on the list and try to get get it cleaned up, if someone will buy it and then clean it up. And especially if there's a nuisance that surrounds it, we can make it a part of our contract that whoever buys it has so many days to clean up the property, if we know that those are nuisance properties that need to be taken care of.
There. I mean, there's several properties in the area of the county that I live in that is just, kudzu has covered them up and fallen down, and I have no idea that nobody is paying those taxes on those pieces of property.
Yeah, and part of it is
Yeah.
the folks that attend the sale, we typically put together an auction packet. It would be nice if we had a GIS overlay to be able to show where the property is or a general location of the size and shape of it. That helps folks see what they're bidding on. We don't get a survey because everybody knows how much those cost.
Sure.
So we're not gonna throw good money after bad. But that's part of it, is folks just don't know what they're bidding on. So it's a little bit of a pig and a poke. The parcels that have, structures on it, we can actually show pictures of it, and those obviously bring better, except for in the case that, for the fallen down house.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to answer any additional questions the board may have. I think everyone has my email. Happy to answer those if any of those pop up after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rife.
Move on to item number 5, the county administrator's report. Turn the floor over to Mr. Barton.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
was
Chair.
gonna do Aim.
I have the county administrator's report for the month of January 2021 and for the month of February 2021. So starting with the general county fund for January 2021, we had revenues of $1,241,996 with expenditures of $2,352,866. Then for the month of February, general revenue was $1,595,629. Expenditures was $2,194,352. And for the year-to-date general fund, through the end of February, revenue was $18,625,309. Expenditures was $20,639,107. And of course, at our last budget workshop, we talked some about where we were on that through the end of January. I'm still updating February numbers, my estimates with the February actual numbers, and I'm still working on that. But moving on to the local coal and gas road improvement funds. For the month of January, revenue was $211,635. Expenditures was $98,853. For the month of February, revenue was $279,784. Expenditures was $103,279. Year-to-date, at the end of February for local coal and gas road improvement fund, revenue was $2,059,651. Expenditures was $1,564,382. Lastly, we have the E911 fund. For the month of January, revenue was $19,346. Expenditures, $46,563. February revenue was $21,549. Expenditures, $44,707, which brings our year-to-date revenue $168,242. Year-to-date expenditures $364,083. Does anyone have any questions?
So, based on what you said so far, are we behind? How much are we?
We're behind. If you look at the general fund year-to-date, as of
$2 million?
February, we're down $2,013,798.
Yeah.
But, we're working towards that June 5th collection date. We'll be taking more revenue in as we get closer to that. Our revenues will increase and close that gap some. We're still looking at a shortfall for the year. As we talked in the budget workshop through the end of January, it was around, $385,000, a little better than we had projected originally. As I said, I'm still updating my information through the end of February with my new projections and things. So I'll have some of that at some of our budget workshops, and we'll look at that in a little more detail. So, does anybody else have any other questions?
Being over budget, as you said in January, does these added expenses that we incur monthly, or we vote to do this or do that or spend that is part of those,
It is.
helps make that over.
Right, it does. With increased expenditures, it does, unless we've got some offsetting revenues that would come in to offset some of that, so.
So how was it's not on here, but the coal and gas severance is still falling, or?
No, right now, the gas severance, we're still running behind on that, because at the budget workshop, we had numbers through February, and we're still looking at being down about $350,000 for the year on our gas. Coal was a little slow early in the year, but it's picking up. We've had some good months the past few months, and at the rate it's going right now, if the trend continues, I'm looking to be over, up about $100,000 on the coal. So net between the two, our general fund still be about $250,000 down on severance at year end.
Okay.
And so next year, we're definitely gonna have to revisit that gas number and get off that 750,000 and lower that estimate.
Any other questions for Mr. Barton on the report, his report? Just like to say for a moment, that Mr. Barton is doing a tremendous job. He is here day and night. He is so responsive, to all of us, I know, and I just appreciate the work you've done, Larry. Nobody could get up
Thank
to
you.
speed as quick as you have on all this that we have moving, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I
you
agree.
too, Larry. I know every time, if I call, usually I call after hours.
That's
And
okay.
he answers promptly. He's easy to get a hold of. I appreciate that, Larry.
Glad to do it.
And you're a gentleman.
Moving on, Larry, I guess, keep the floor with you. Item 6, was there any other questions on the administrative report? Okay, move on to item 6, the expenditure.
Do we need to make a motion to approve his
We might
report?
could just do them, approve the report and the expenditures together if you want, or if you
All
want to
right.
go ahead and do the report, whatever y'all want to do.
I'll make a motion that we accept his report as he's given it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Larry, item 6, expenditures.
So item 6 with our expenditures for the month of February, for the general county fund, we had a total expenditures of, I'm sorry here, it is $232,680.45. And coal and gas road improvement fund, We didn't have any expenditures from that. And nothing out of CARES or any of the others, so. And of course, we've got our checks here in the printout, all the expenditures, if anybody has any questions on those.
I make a motion that we approve all three expenditures if there's no other questions.
Is there any further questions or discussion? Is there a second? I'll second Ms. Wilson's motion. Open the
second.
floor again, any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Move on to item 7. The podium is now open for public comment. If you would, just please state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Phone line is open as well, 276-333-0357, if you'd like to call in a public comment. Podium and phone is now open.
Well, I got a public comment. What happened to roads?
Oh,
We missed that, didn't
I
we?
hadn't
it's
even
not
caught
on there. I've
that.
been looking for it.
If you have some, come up and speak.
No, I go sit down.
No, okay.
It's not on here.
Let's see,
Yes.
Patsy, did y'all want to speak?
Yeah, I think they
We
have,
totally
they want
missed
to.
it.
The roads too.
Well, go,
I'm tired of driving on the left side because the right side.
Well, come up and speak.
Yeah, let's do
Patsy.
this in-
I'm just speaking right
All right.
well, we're not gonna have a road.
She's from the Clintwood district,
Patsy
so
Craven.
Patsy and her
Well, let's try to have a
brother.
little order here. Larry, do you wanna go first?
Yeah.
All right, well, go first. You can sit or go.
What district you?
He's in
you're
the Irvington
Irvington district, okay.
I hate to act like I know everything, but you know, after 35 years, I kind of know the general rules here. And I got elected in my area to come speak on the roads. As everybody has, they've got plenty of chug holes. Ailey Road is bad. And I got one call from Clinch Cove under the train trestles. Is a big, gigantic chug hole. And up Mill Creek, before you get to Barton's old grocery store, somewhere in that area. And I get all kinds of more, but anyhow, they should have been here instead of me. And I still got my complaint about my old property at the middle of the world. The water's still running across the road. I need some drain pipes. I need some help from the state, if I could get any. And I bothered you enough. Thank you for your time.
Is that all?
Thank you, Larry.
Is Middle of the World's a state road, ain't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of my district, I only got a call today, probably 10 o'clock this morning for Ailey Road. No one has called about Mill Creek. No one has called on Ailey Road. Nothing until a niece boy called me this morning.
Back in front of his house.
Yeah, he called about 10 o'clock this morning, and I called Salem and reported that. They were supposed to send me an email with a confirmation number, and I haven't seen that.
Well, I try to tell the people, you can come over just like I can.
Mine
Right.
comes
More
back
people,
real
the more you
fast.
might get done.
Right,
But
I'm-
I'm here every month speaking about something.
okay.
And it's bad. Like she said, you have to ride on the right side of the road in order to get down the road. Everywhere you go in the county.
Okay. I'll
I
try.
reckon there was one hole from here to Nashville when I went in, and I had to hit it and bust the tire.
The frogs move in every time it rains.
I'll get back out over through there and make some road notes and locations and stuff.
If I could find a picture, I'd show you it in my house.
I would think that VDOT will go through a patching as soon
Yeah, as soon as
as
they-
the asphalt
Yeah.
opens up. I think they'll do it without reporting so many potholes. I've got them all over my district.
They're everywhere.
Anybody else have a public comment and or road concern? You don't have to stay in if you don't want to.
You can sit there,
It's
Patsy.
up to
if
you,
want to.
whatever you wanna do.
I know yesterday, I don't wait for calls, but I did get calls, I've called in too, but I rode from Camp Creek all the way around, looking at the roads, and I know what she lives on Osborne's Gap, she's in the Clintwood district. And Josh, you know, it's really, they have not put up a guardrail, they had a guardrail on Pound River, I mean, it's,
We met on that, and I've given up. I want to let her speak. She
Yeah,
can,
go
so
ahead,
Go
Patsy.
ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say our roads are real bad and you have to drive on the left side because the right side is so bad. You have to, if a car's coming down on his side of the road, you gotta stop, let him go by, and then you get over in the left lane so that you can get around the hole. We've got somebody that came by there and squirted a little bit of asphalt in some of the holes today, but what they do, they don't repair it. It just keeps sinking down and you're gonna fall in the hole after a while.
Where is that at?
That's on River Road.
well, it's
River
Osborne's
Road.
Gap.
They call it Brush Creek.
Oh,
Brush
between,
Creek.
when you turn there at Little Zion Church and head between Camp Creek and Camp Jacob Road and Osborne Gap Road?
No, this is from down at the bridge, Brush Creek, where they've already paid.
They
Right,
paid
Brush
from the
Creek.
Clintwood to the
Between
bridge.
there, they quit at the bridge.
I've just
There's a
never heard of the
bridge
River Road. I don't know where
Well,
that is.
it's supposed to be River Road, but they still call it Brush Creek
Oh.
They
Road.
call it Brush Creek Road, and Brush Creek Road does not go down that way. Brush Creek goes from Clintwood down to the main bridge, and it dumps into the river.
Where's she talking about,
No,
Jeremy?
She's talking about from the low water bridge to the swimming pool.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And that's where some of these holes are.
They are, and
Well-
they patched them and patched them and patched them and repatched them, and they're just terrible shape.
Me and,
Really thought our road was
I'm sorry.
whenever they were drilling a gas well up there in the mountain in Ortho's Gap. And they brought all that rock and stuff out of Clinchco down there somewhere and down that river, and all the drain pipes caved in and got riffles in. And that's when all the trouble started. Whenever they had the gas well up there and drilled that gas.
They
well.
need to have them work the drain pipes and see.
Well, what I was gonna say, y'all have anything else you wanna say?
Well, yeah, I've got an issue with the name that the 911, when they had the name, they named that River Road. It's always been the River Road. It's always been the Pound River Road, ever since I remember. And then they called it Brush Creek for some reason. I don't know why. But Brush Creek don't go that way. That's Pound River Road. And why they called it Brush Creek, I have no idea. Because Brush Creek runs from Clintwood down to Pound River and runs into the river. And that's it for Brush Creek. And then they call it Brush Creek all the way up the river, all the way to Camp Creek. Well, when you get to Camp Creek Bridge, it's Camp Creek from there on.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I've traveled that road for 35 years. I never heard it called the River Road. I've always called it Brush Creek or Pound River.
Then,
Well, we can talk to the 911.
You don't wanna change your road name, I can tell you all that. That was
We will
pure
work on your
misery.
potholes though, and one thing, if, I just wanna
I'll
let you all
change
talk.
one.
Jeremy and I and another,
I
Jeff
would never
Newberry, a
change one
member
unless
of our
everybody on that road
committee,
decided they wanted it changed.
we met with the regional director for VDOT at Bear Pen. He was there, my request and Jeremy Fleming's request. He met us right there. And he told us, I'm very aware of this road. I had him there for the guardrail. We appropriated money for the guardrail on Pound River. And they'd run into some issues because they don't have enough shoulder. For the money we appropriated, there's not enough shoulder there to get the guardrail in. So we got another plan. They're gonna apply for some money, which they think they're gonna get, and expand the shoulder, put the guardrail in from Bear Pen Swimming Pool on up past Fairview Hollow. And during that conversation, the sheriff's here so he can vouch for me. He promised me that they're gonna clean the ditch lines out. They're gonna get the flooding on Brush Creek, there right at the old social services building, from Edwards and the social services building on down past Jim Childress's. That is on the #1 priority starting in May or June. So all that water that gets in the road there, he promised me in front of a law enforcement officer under penalty of perjury that he was gonna get that fixed and they're gonna get that guardrail in by the summertime. And that's all I know to do. I call them and raise hell with them every day, just like all 5 of us do. We don't have a road crew. All we can do is listen to you, go see the hole for ourselves, and then I start texting Paul, I start texting Harmon Kilgore, I start texting Mike Gully, and I just badger the hell out of them. Just like, that's all we can do. We don't have a road crew to go see and fix it. If we did, we would. But we promise you, we're listening. We know the county's in bad shape. I emailed in an email with the sheriff, Todd Pillion, Senator Pillion, Delegate Wampler, and Paul, and I demanded them come down, and he did, and address this guardrail thing. And he met me and Jeremy in the pouring rain at Barrapen, and they made those promises to me. If you know anything else to do, then please tell me and I'll do it. Other than raise hell with them every chance I can, I don't know what else I can do. But they're aware of it. So we're trying. I know Peggy and Shelby, we all take great pride in listening to you and trying to address your concerns. And every time we get a concern, we take it to them, and we can't make VDOT do anything. All we can do is raise Cain, and I promise you I do that, and I know all the rest of us do too. But we will do everything we can to get your concerns addressed. I promise you.
I want to
While you're
add,
at it, add on the 3-lane coming into Clintwood there before you get to McDonald's, there's a big hole right there, we hit it every day.
I know the one you're talking about. I don't know how they miss that. I mean, but it's not just one area of the county. It is all over, and it's embarrassing, and it pains me that you have to take time of your day to be here to fuss at us about it. But we are intimately aware, and we just go to them and fuss at you. All fuss at us, and we go fuss at them, and we cross our fingers and hope they'll listen to somebody. And that's all we can do.
somebody like that.
Go ahead, yeah.
Just so, as Josh said, we all are a belly button and avenue for you to use, and you should use us. Call us and let us know. But also, as we talked earlier, when, like, he's up there, Larry was up there discussing road problems with other neighbors and stuff, you guys have the right to shake the tree too.
Oh, we do shake.
Yeah, I believe you, but just, the more pressure, the better.
I care. It bothers me to know that, especially in my road that's part of my district, that bothers me. You can ask my wife.
Bothers me too.
I mean, it drives me insane.
It bothers me tremendously.
And I send nasty emails every day. Please, and I put the senators in on it, because that's when you really can get their attention. And, we don't have a senator right now, but, Todd Pillion's been wonderful to help me. And of course, Delegate Wampler, and you all should use them too, and say, listen, Delegate Wampler,
She said
Senator
she went to
Pillion,
Richmond.
we've sent this in, and we got no response, help us out. And that generally will help get their attention. And it certainly got him down here this week, and Paul's a great guy. I'm not saying that it took that to get him here, but he promised me that road is gonna get attention. That's all I know to do.
There's another place where there's a hole that's really dangerous. It's right across from where the old high school was torn down. It's right, you go up into
We know
the
where it's
Vance.
at.
Benny Vance.
Yeah, there's a hole there, yeah.
I was down in that hole.
You got down in that hole? Did you have to have a record pull you out?
And it tore
Well, I'm sorry about that.
the oil pan off the bottom of it. So you really, that needs to be something.
Yeah, I've had complaints on that too.
And if people with people watching, if you don't want to come out or don't want to be out in a crowd, pick up your phone on our public comment and say, this is so-and-so, I live on this road and we have road concerns. I mean, you can always call us,
But I guess there's only so much, all we can do is call them.
Yeah. And that's just like I told VDOT today in Salem when I called and I said, this is the only road complaint that I've got. But before I hang up, I want to voice my concern on the very much needed ditch line cleaning. Every time I call you, I will be mentioning cleaning the ditch lines out till we can get something done.
Jeremy, what did Paul say the other day about that? Did he say they had a special machine that they're bringing in here for that purpose?
Yes, I don't even know what it was called, Josh, but some sort of machine it's like a front end loader that's got a special piece of equipment on the shoulder side of the road that they'll use to clean the ditches with. And he
That-
says it's
that would be
amazing.
wonderful.
I've never seen it work, but we'll see.
I just,
Well, things
Okay.
started changing in the county. At one time, I don't know exactly how many years ago it was, VDOT at Fremont probably had 60, 70 employees. They're down to about 18 or 19 employees. They contract everything out. Everything that has to be done, they contract out. There's not a whole lot that crew goes out and does, as far as repairs, ditching, drain pipes, all of that. They just don't have the crew down there to do it.
Well, I'll say
and-
they fixed a big hole back on 611. That thing was a monster. You could have fixed
Yeah.
it, put a Volkswagen in, they fixed that, and they done a great job.
Yeah.
But I'll also
Yeah,
ask
they've
you,
done several
a
for
couple
me.
years ago, they let go of some of those contractors because they were way overspent
Yeah. And
with
not-
all the flooding issues we had experienced in the county, all the
Right.
emergency flooding.
So just so I'm clear, just the entire River Road section is your all's complaint, right? And the potholes. Is
And
there any other
Osborne's Gap.
specific ones?
Well, I'm sure if you go on up in Dorriston's Gap, which I don't go too far up past his house.
they live on Osborne's
Then there's
Gap.
still one in front of Phyllis's house, that big old hole that was in front of Phyllis. There was a big hole in front of Phyllis Mullins's house, but I've dodged ditch so much, I don't even know if it's there or not. Go around.
I'm gonna read the phone number one more time, 276-333-0357.
Good deal.
We have one on the line now.
All right, Adam, thank you all. Thank you,
Thank you.
Larry. Go ahead, Adam, if you wanna connect.
They're connected now.
Hello, this is Josh Evans with the Board of Supervisors. You're now on the line for the public comment piece of this meeting. If you just state your name, please.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Y'all are doing a wonderful job. But I was just calling in. My husband works for VDOT, and they're doing, this sounds terrible, but, I know all the roads in the county need attention and all, but they can only do so much, especially with the ditch lines on county environmental. And on another thing, like the pavement and all, they have to wait till that thing
Asphalt,
opens up
right.
that they can get the pavement. These guys go out and they work every day. You might not see them in the public eye, but they are working. And like I said, they can only do what they're allowed to do.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Some of them have to, yeah, thank you.
They're
You're right.
underfunded.
You're very right. Some of them have to get DEQ permits to clean out a ditch.
Do you have anything
Yeah,
else,
they
ma'am?
do, because...
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Because the environmental,
That's right.
they have to get approved, and if they don't approve it, then they can't do it.
You're very
know,
correct.
Yeah. But I wanted to tell you, you're doing a good job, and I just wanted to come to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate the call. 276-333-0357. We'll keep public comment open just another moment or so. We have a
Shouldn't
very
stay
long
behind,
agenda.
did you?
She's right, DEQ requires you to get a permit to clean out a ditch.
Mr. Phillips, would you care, while we have this, just maybe elaborate a moment on the difference between a county road and a VDOT road and sort of what, maybe just the law on that, just while we're on this subject, would you care?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to. You have to go back and look at how Virginia has established counties. Counties only have those powers and responsibilities and authorities that's granted to them by the Commonwealth of Virginia. And basically, VDOT has divided their road system up into primary, secondary, and road systems and paved and unpaved roads. Basically, Dickinson County does not own any roads. We don't have roads in Dickinson County that we own. Those roads basically are owned by VDOT that have upkeep and maintenance. VDOT has a system to take roads in, and there's a process that you go through to get a road added. and VDOT has to consent to take that road into its system before they will provide upkeep and maintenance. If it's not in the VDOT system, then it's generally considered a private road, and the citizens are responsible for upkeep and maintenance on any private roads that exist. So we don't have a road, as you said earlier, Dickinson County does not have a road crew. We don't have the ability to take care of VDOT's roads, only they do that. Now, there's a little difference in Tennessee. Tennessee has divided theirs up into state maintained and county maintained. But they have a budget for those counties, like in Tennessee, and the county administers that money through a VDOT, to their road program, the county road program. The county does not have roads that we maintain or upkeep
And
as
just
such.
to clarify, Bud, just because there's a green sign with a road name doesn't mean it's owned by the government in any shape, form.
That's correct.
So you gotta keep that in perspective.
What's the
There-
status of the agricultural thing?
It's private,
We're
really.
gonna address that at
You
the
were
next
gonna
Coal
put-
Road.
Pardon me?
We're gonna address that at the next Coal Road meeting.
I know no gravel's been put down.
Well, I've given opinion to the county, that the county has a right-of-way that we own through there, and it's not an exclusive right-of-way, but we have the right-of-way to there, and the county can utilize its funds to gravel or through the Coal Road money to do whatever needs to be done on that. So my opinion is a county road.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, I apologize if I.
It's a county, it's a
No,
private
go
road.
ahead.
Let me,
No, I'm-
remember, it's a
I'm-
private road owned by the county. We have a right-of-way, in other words.
So we're waiting for what, for it to get gravel?
I-
While we
The
wait for
Coal
the
Road committee meeting, so
We
we
need
probably
your
need to go ahead and
committee.
get one.
But I've been trying to get one called, actually for a long time. So we'll call one.
You will bring that up?
Find a
with your-
date. Yes.
I think we're gonna probably do it like we did last time, maybe do it all together.
Okay.
I think that's good. Any other calls, Adam?
There was one call that come through. I can call them back if you'd like. They hung up.
We'll give it another moment. I'll read it again and see if they call back. 276-333-0357. I'll
Just
leave it
to-
open. Let's just try to keep it open for public comment.
Just a final example, Buchanan County tried to establish sort of a road program over there with their funds they have, and it is now, my understanding, basically non-existent.
They're begging VDOT to take them back.
Begging VDOT to keep them because
Who's
they don't
that?
have,
Buchanan.
Oh,
Buchanan
yeah,
County
they
always
see the
did
writing
theirs.
on the wall, Severance is going away.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did some of theirs.
but they
They've
are,
been doing bridges and everything.
but they've run out of money, and they don't probably have the money to have the upkeep and maintenance, and then VDOT won't take them because they're not built to VDOT standards, so I don't know what's gonna happen at that point in
VDOT
time.
has to have that 40-foot right-of-way signed by all people on that road, all owners on that road,
See, another thing
before they'll
too
take
is-
it in.
Sorry, Shelley. Another thing is typically if it's a gravel road, there are some exceptions to this. I know I have one, but if it's gravel, it means typically it's a private road normally.
All right, we have a public comment by phone. If you want to go ahead and identify yourself, and you have the floor now, caller, for your public comment.
Okay, I'm calling from the Blowing Rock Road.
Yes,
Josh,
ma'am.
I think you're over, yes. I've called before, it's about the Skid Rock Road, there's some potholes, there's probably about 5 or 6 next to the church building. I think it's the Cumberland Church of the Brethren. When you pass there going toward Blowing Rock Road, there's about 5 or 6 or 7 potholes, and you have to just like go back and forth to miss them. And also, I've mentioned this before, of course, and then the south of the mountain road, there are, that road's terrible. We just about quit running on that road because of all the potholes and the roads falling in, and I don't know if they've done anything yet to that.
You have anything else?
No, I just wanted to bring it back to your attention.
Let her state her name so Teresa can write it in a minute.
Is it Miss Wallace?
Yes, it is.
Renita Wallace. Yes, ma'am, we've been talking, I guess you've been watching, this is a common theme. I've reported all 611 to VDOT, and sort of, I think once the asphalt factory gets going here soon in the spring. I'm hoping they get all the way through 611 and all the way through, the River Road, Brush Creek area, hopefully this spring, but we're well aware of it. And if I had a crew of men to send out there and fix all those issues you have told me about for many months, I would have done it. But I've relayed those concerns to VDOT, and I will do so again. And hopefully that we'll get something done this spring.
I appreciate your time. I just wanted to bring it back up to your attention.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would think the asphalt plant will be opening soon.
Plant. I said factory.
It's a
That's
plant,
the word.
out Bristol, yeah.
All right, I think we'll move on from public comment. Is there any other calls? Okay. Is there a motion to end public comment?
So move.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there anybody that wants to keep public comment open? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item number 8. Mr. Phillips, I guess you drafted this proclamation for American Red Cross Month.
Mr. Chair, we've
I
got
suspect Mr. County Administrator.
Okay,
All them sevens.
sevens.
I'm sorry.
We forgot that addendum on the sevens.
Well, we did we? I apologize. We'll go back
I had it
to,
covered up, forgot.
so we'll go to 7B, policy for use of the tire shredder. We'll go to you, Mr.
He
Phillips.
canceled
He
that.
took that off.
Oh, he did. I'm so sorry.
We're currently drafting that, and
7C.
it'll be ready for you in a few days.
7C, Jeremy, of course, he's tied up there with a constituent, but what this was is the sheriff's office had applied for monies through rural development for the purchase of 2 sheriff vehicles. This would require a matching contribution to get those automobiles. I don't know, Jeremy, do you want to speak on what you did and what we need to do if we choose to do it to help you get this grant?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Mr. Kendrick here speak to you briefly.
Sure.
Ron was a major player in the grant, the rural development grant. Basically, it was a cash match grant, is that right, Ron? 75% funded by the grant, county.
Come on up, so we can hear you. Come on up if you want. And I don't want to put you on the spot. We just got it last night, and I pretty well know what you're saying, but
No,
everybody else may not. I don't know.
Yeah, you're fine. We had applied for the grant, last year. Mr. Kendrick assisted with it. He's a major player, in the grant writing department. I actually thought it was dead in the water until, a couple days ago. I think Mr. Barton sent me a message and told me that we've been awarded the grant. But it is a cash match, grant. Grant pays 75%, county pays 25%. I think you guys got the email, same email maybe that Mr. Barton had sent me. Grant pays $50,900.
$50,000 the grant pays of the total $70,900, so the county would have to contribute $20,900.
Yes.
Or anything above that, if we spent more than $70,900.
Going into this, we didn't know if we were gonna be eligible for the grant. I think Mr. Kendrick had talked to Dwight Pearson, and, he encouraged us to apply for it, and we did. And I think anytime we utilize grant money, we need to, hopefully you guys will approve it, and we can get us a couple more vehicles.
Well, I'm tickled to death. I mean, this has alleviated a huge burden on us. I know you're needing some more vehicles for your road deputies, but I think it's great. I wish we could do more of this.
Didn't we buy out of the CARES Act? We bought 2, and then the county bought 2, is that right?
County bought, we got, the last 2 we got, I believe the county bought one, we got one out of CARES Act, I believe.
Thought you got 2 out of the CARES Act.
We bought 2 out of CARES, didn't
I
we?
thought we did too.
Well, it's more than that. How many vehicles came in?
You got 4, didn't you?
You got 4 new
I thought it
vehicles,
was
didn't
4,
you?
The
but
county
one of them came out of the county.
budgeted for 2, I think, last year.
Yes.
And then we got 2 out of CARES.
Yes.
We've got two that's coming in. One should be in,
So that gives you 4 new vehicles,
soon.
is that correct?
and then
This
one
will
more
be
next
six.
month.
This will make you 6 new
That was
vehicles.
ordered.
We
No,
got,
I mean, within the past year.
yes.
I thought we
Ah.
had 4 out of CARES Act, and one of them we had to.
So with this, you can buy
Is
2,
it 2 or
right?
3? I'd have to go
vehicles?
back and look.
With this,
Yes.
It's definitely, it's 2.
Spend 20 and get 50.
well, yeah. Of course, that's $20,000 that you made such an issue about last time.
You get 50 back.
I know, but you were making an issue about.
Which
the
time?
$20,000.
Which time was that?
The last
Over the
board meeting.
employee.
That
But
was the
I think it's,
$57,000 annual expense.
Well, I
This is
know,
the one-time
but-
$20,000 expense.
I understand that. I think it's a good, I mean, if you can spend 20 and get 70, that's great. Like you said last night, that's a no-brainer.
I think it is.
Yeah, and I hope we can do more of this. I talked to Ron, yesterday about reapplying for the grant.
Maybe we can hire Ron as a grant writer.
Hey, he's been great to help us and assist with the grants.
Josh, we're
So
gonna hire
hopefully
Ron
we
as a
continue
grant
to
writer.
get.
Oh, you do.
Do you have anything, Larry, you want to add to it? Or?
No, I agree with you all. I think,
So
it's
when-
$20,000 we don't have budget per se, but in order to get 70,000, I'll scrape around and we'll
Yeah.
find it. So
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
You need a motion to that
Yeah, I
effect,
think
Mr.
so.
Chairman?
I make a motion that we provide $20,900 for the cash match for the sheriff's department so they can.
I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but we would actually have a resolution, Bud, so we would need to adopt this resolution, I think, is the proper procedure.
It is, correct, Mr. Chairman.
the
Mr.
resolution.
Barton, your
We
county
could probably do
administrator
that.
asked that I reviewed all the documents today for this grant, that you're going, hopefully, it's your will to adopt. And so, what you have to do is, it requires that you adopt a resolution granting him, first of all, to approve the application for the grant, and then secondly, approve authority for him to sign any and all documents relative to the grant.
Well, we're, change my motion that we adopt this resolution, getting, to facilitate the obtaining of financial assistance from the USDA procurement, that we adopt this resolution and give the sheriff the authority, Larry Barton, the authority to sign whatever is
All
necessary.
documents necessary to facilitate the grant.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I just say make sure we got the grant in hand.
Well, how, just on top of that, I mean, do you have to put the money in,
One
do
of our
they
first
receive our
bad
20
mistakes
before
when
they
I
give
came
us
on
the
the board.
50, or how does that work, Larry?
no, what it is,
May
we
not
have to put our money in. They'll give us the
Oh, we
50,
had-
but we have to work
I
with
had
Pearson. They
Cliff, though, she
contacted me
got a
yesterday
$100,000
morning,
grant
let me know that we
about
were awarded
fire
this. And they'll have to actually approve our
Mass land.
procurement process. Whenever we go out to procurement, we'll work with them through that.
Nope.
And, once the award's made, then they will, we'll make the purchase and they'll reimburse us the 50,000 if we spend at least 70,900.
The
Does that
guidelines,
answer your question, Shelby? I'm sorry.
Yes, it does.
the guidelines are there in the closing documents that Mr. Barton has, and he's correct, these are the first steps. He's got to sign some other documents and go out for procurement, and then get those procurements in, purchase, and then he will request the funds.
I think it's great. I know the comment was just made, kind of a sarcastic comment, that I was against
I'm
the
sorry,
treasurer. But I think this is totally different. These guys drive probably, 50,000 miles in a year, get shot at, come to court, work all night, come to court, listen to defense attorneys badger them, and we see the results. So I think it's a totally clear distinction, but I'd like to clarify that.
Sheriff
Especially
Fleming-
with this $1.7 million that's not being collected, but
The reason
nonetheless, so
the
we
reason
have
I
a-
said make sure he's in hand.
so we have a motion and a
just have
second.
one comment.
Go ahead.
It's wrong if we turned our back on this opportunity.
I agree.
We have to do it.
I admire him very much for
And
taking
I
the effort.
admire you too for it.
Thank you,
but-
Ron.
But I will just want to reiterate, now we're $400,000 behind.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep that in mind where we're going with this. But no, we know you need vehicles, and there's no way I could turn my back on that.
Have a
The
motion.
thing about this here too is, I mean, he's got an aging fleet of vehicles, you know, that's gonna have to be replaced any time, and this just kind of
Keep some
keeps. from-
newer vehicles out good.
Yeah.
The reason I said make sure you have the grant in hand, one of my bad votes on the board was, we voted to buy something that they said they had $100,000 grant. They didn't have it and didn't get it.
Right.
But they got the vehicle. So I'm cautious about grants.
How many vehicles, you still pursuing, if you're gonna keep pursuing grants, you're gonna keep pursuing buying?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to, anytime there's a grant opportunity available, I think we need to
helps
apply,
us.
no matter what it's for, whether it's for vehicles, equipment. We also applied for an
It helps
AED.
us.
I think we put in, we request 25.
We put in for 35, but we talked about trimming the numbers back.
Three.
Give us more.
3 in care.
Yeah, but anytime you take advantage of grant money, you know, we need to, we're gonna continue to apply for equipment, vehicles, whatever it may
That was the
be.
one I was talking.
I just think it's a good opportunity. I hate to
We need it.
see us, the county have to pay it out of pocket.
You applied for 35 AEDs, individual aid,
We did,
put in each car or
put
something?
in each car, yes.
Well, that'd be a wonderful thing.
Is that a match grant too?
It's an 80-20 grant, and well, of course, we put in for 100%.
Yes, we did.
And we were gonna try it again in the fall. We came real close to getting it this past time, and feel like we maybe trimmed the numbers back and hit it the second time that we'll be able to hit it.
We have a motion and second. Anything else from anybody? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. We have 7D. 7D. This is Peggy. Do you want to talk about that? Or have we already, did you already correct
I thought
that
that's
correctly?
17, do you?
Yeah, but I
Well,
think.
it's actually,
Miss-
I guess, 7C. It's 7D on the supplement, but it's 7C.
Yes, but I would like to
Change.
pass this off to Mr. Phillips to explain what he found out on how we have to appropriate money based on a grant and stuff.
Mr. Chairman, the Virginia Code has a specific statute with the disbursement of funds that the county must follow. Basically, what that code states is that the county must first appropriate those funds before that expenditure can be made in its budget process. However, there is an exception to the rule, and the reason exception to the rule is to allow for disbursement of funds that you might receive from grant funding or other sources such as grants that flow through, in many cases, through the budget, that you take on, like the travel project where the state of Virginia provides through a grant fund an opportunity to either build homes or renovate homes or to demolish the dilapidated homes in Trammell. And you accepted that grant. That grant is available, and you can authorize by statute your county administrator to pay those funds as they come due through grant funding. And that way, the contractors and the folks don't have to wait on their money. You can do that when those invoices are submitted to the county administrator rather than waiting for your approval every month.
Was that done last year when David was the administrator?
Yes, we had always given David the authority to spend up to 25,000, I believe, wasn't it, Ron?
I think so.
I think we gave him permission to spend up to 25,000 without us having to be called back to vote on it.
Yeah, but I think that's different than what we're talking here.
That is a little different.
Yeah, I would prefer not to do that anymore, but if it's a grant, if it's to administer the grant, then yeah, I think certainly that's probably maybe the best way. I let Larry say what he'd prefer, but I really don't want to do it that way anymore. And I think that's what Larry maybe was, I'm not speaking for him, I don't know, but maybe out of an abundance of caution on some of the issues we had just dealt with.
I agree.
Had held up, but I think we can delineate a grant the grant procedure versus the day-to-day procedure. Is that?
You're absolutely correct,
maybe-
Mr. Chairman. There's two
maybe I
different
should,
issues. One's
Yeah,
apple, one's oranges.
Yeah,
They're not the
exactly.
same.
So I don't have a
Yeah.
problem at all, and I think Peggy was doing her diligence for
Mm-hmm.
that project of allowing that administrator to do that with the grant funding piece, not the general day-to-day spending.
That's why I stated in their email that I sent to all of us, all of you all, that this was not, this was money that came into our budget set aside for that project. It was not our everyday bill paying.
That's
It was
correct.
funds coming from that particular grant, and can that check be released
Yeah,
to
that
that guy?
should be good.
Mr. Phillips, do you think it would
General
be cleaner
I
to
may have
do
missed that piece of it.
a new motion to allow in the administration of grants for the county administrator to issue payments up to a certain amount? Would
It
that be
would
the
be,
cleanest?
it would, it'd be broader.
Peggy, do you want to make that
Yes.
a motion?
Do we need to set an amount, or?
No. You won't set an amount.
Grants.
It allows
Based
him to
on
make the
grant.
determination. If you have set an amount, at some point, he's gonna have to come back down to you again. So basically, if it's a broader motion, it will allow him to administer that grant and to distribute those funds.
Okay, then I will make that motion to give our administrator, Mr. Barton, the authority to pay the bills as they come in pertaining to a grant.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Peggy, I apologize for that. I hope everything.
I came and got the
taken care of.
guy's check yesterday and took it to him and asked him not to cash it till today. And
Well,
he
hopefully-
was sitting up there waiting on me.
Yeah, moving forward, we'll
Yeah, we'll.
have them very timely, so.
All right, so the next one would be, it's 7E in this addendum, but it's actually 7D in our order of things, the reopening of the daycare.
Yes.
Larry?
I'll take that. Yesterday, want to give you all an update. Mr. Goldsmith from People Incorporated came over and met with me yesterday. You know, it's the first time I had met with him since I became administrator, so he gave me some background and a little history on People Incorporated. Of course, the main reason for his visit was the daycare center, and I know I've had the question myself since I've been here as to when the daycare center was going to reopen. I think it's been closed since March of last year. He shared some concerns with me of the building back when they were using it, maybe a problem with the heat pumps, several issues. But I'd got with Mr. Salyers last week, and we went through the building, and all those concerns have been cured. The building, everything on our end has been repaired. But the concern that Mr. Goldsmith had that he was bringing to me is where it's been closed for so long, for over a year now, they're gonna have to have a new state inspection in order to get opened back. They're planning on opening on May 1st is their goal right now. And the classrooms actually have carpet in them, and he said that's the same carpet that's been there since the building was built. And with the new cleaning protocols with COVID, they are requesting that the carpets be removed and replaced with vinyl floor tile. They have got an estimate on that, one estimate so far for $22,000. He said approximately 25% of the rooms was used for early Head Start, and they had other funding they could use for that portion. I don't have anything in this, just my notes, but, so he's requesting, you know, contribute approximately $16,000 to the project to replace the carpet with vinyl floors for cleaning for COVID. And, of course, that should be an allowable expense with the new COVID funds that we will be receiving. At the same time, you know, we normally make a $70,000 appropriation each year to operate the child care center with, the daycare with. And, you know, we didn't do that this year, but we instead put $70,000 in the roof. The roof was about $70,000 that we had done, so we put that in the building. And like I said, overall, the building, the guys had replaced the heat pump compressor recently, done some work to the freezer, refrigerator, walk-in units down there. So everything else is in pretty good shape. So I just need some direction as far as how the board wants to proceed with this, with Mr. Goldsmith, with People Incorporated, with carpet. You know, what your thoughts are on trying to reopen the daycare center May 1st.
Hadn't you been mentioning, I thought we wanted to maybe explore a different
Yeah, I
provider
did
for
too.
that.
I just don't think, I think they're doing a poor job of running that daycare center myself. I mean, Mr. People Incorporated is.
And we are contractually obligated to have that as a daycare facility, but we're not contractually obligated that we have it through People Incorporated. It could just be another provider. Is that right?
based upon the grant funding that you received as a part of the Sykes and Travelocity and those folks, they needed a daycare center. Ms. Shelby's been here during that process, and we agreed, the county, I'm gonna say, the county agreed to build that, and we got grant funding to do the project. And so we're obligated to keep it open as a county for daycare as part of that grant. Now, we do have a contract with a provider, which is People Incorporated. So I've given you a legal memo sometime back, and I won't go into that legal memo that we had, I think, provided to you about that. We can talk about that in executive session at some point in time to what your options are. But obviously, if for some reason People Incorporated may or may not be, I'll say that if there may or may not be adhering to the contract, then you would have a right to get another provider. And then the legal advice would come in executive session.
What I would like to see, personally, me, is, I don't know, and I don't remember, I know we went over it extensively at least once. Number one, and maybe we should put it in the closed session piece, I don't know if it's too late for that, but I'd like to see that contract, and I would potentially like to entertain, eventually, probably not tonight, but I would like to explore other providers getting put in that facility, myself personally. I know we had a lot of issues on that, and I just don't remember the specifics.
Well, so
Well,
we.
this is a legal issue. Can we move that to closed session? Would that be
It
appropriate?
would take a majority vote, but you could add that at this
Yeah, I
point.
think we could, when we
Yeah.
make our motion to go to closed session. to add
As a
that.
majority vote, you can.
So maybe, do we want to pass this, Larry, to then?
I think so, and I do have a copy of the contract I can share with you, so.
So, is everybody okay with that?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, then, that would conclude, the 7 piece, now we're going to
I guess
8.
back to a regular.
Right, we're back on the regular agenda, the proclamation that I tried to start there 30 minutes ago, the American Red Cross, proclamation, Larry.
Mr. Chair, would you want to, Ms. Surratt is here to receive
yes,
this on
ma'am,
behalf
yes.
of Red Cross, so
Go
we
ahead.
have her come forward and.
Absolutely. She'd
and Lars
like-
could read
would
this
you like her?
proclamation.
I just want to thank y'all for, Red Cross. And, you know, we were lucky, we started our disaster action team here in 2006, and we've really helped a lot of people in the county. So this proclamation, I will be sending it to Roanoke, to the main office. They actually moved the main office from Bristol to Roanoke, so. But I served on the Red Cross for 11 years as a volunteer, and then went on the board, and then they moved, so.
Are you on the board now?
No, when they moved to Roanoke, they asked me to remain on, but I didn't. But I'm actually gonna meet with the director, and we're like looking for more volunteers, for the county. But we have a good team here. Richard Thacker, he's been really, really good. We had a fire actually last week, and the Red Cross came through to help them, so we
It's a really
appreciate
good
it.
program, really good program. Mr. Chair, would you like me to read the proclamation, or do you want to read it?
Do we need to read it? I don't think we need to read it.
So we'll get this, we appreciate everything that you've done with the Red Cross and everything Red Cross has done for our
Yes, Reed, thank
community.
you.
They're always there in times of need, like I said, whether it's a house fire, a flood, a natural disaster, whatever, to help our citizens, and we're very
I just
grateful
want
for
to say
that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Yeah, we
Thank
get
you,
immediate
Rita.
Can I
help,
ask you
too.
one question for you, Lee?
Yeah.
This is not about the Red Cross, is that all right, bud, if I ask her a
Mr. Chairman,
question? Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes, go
ask her a
ahead,
question?
Please.
I was told that you was working on some grants for playground equipment, is that true?
Oh, yeah, we're in the process of working on several.
We're
I've
trying,
got-
yes.
I tell you, I've got 2 really good ones right here, and I love it because we're pushing forward, and we're looking at some grant funding right now. I'm getting with Larry next week, or this week.
This week.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are definitely wanting to get Josh, it was Josh's idea on the playground equipment to update that burr pen, burr.
Yeah, the bear pen.
I went by there yesterday and there was some kids playing there.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
families that use that.
that park, actually, I talked to Paul Buchanan, it was built, I think in 2001, you may remember, Bud. And I'd say that playground equipment has not been
Very
probably
not good.
replaced. So, yeah, we're looking, and we've got some
Okay.
meetings.
Which parks are you, that park and just Which parks? Just that?
Hairpin,
Hairpin?
Mission Park, that's the one
And
that
what?
we're looking at right now, yeah.
Yeah, I went by there yesterday, there were some kids playing, but they don't have adequate equipment to play, you know.
Well, that's my point, right? That's what we're trying to do.
We're gonna get it, right?
We're trying.
We're not gonna give it, it'll take a while because that playground equipment is very.
It's very
Yes,
expensive.
it is.
If we
Very
could just get like
expensive.
one big one right now.
I know at the church, we have a nice playground, and we've spent $40,000 on the
I
playground.
don't know if y'all have got Ronnie Robbins on Facebook or not, but his brother-in-law built an incredible incredible. Get on there and look at it, but
I saw
he
it.
give,
Oh, have
he,
you
he
seen
give me a
theirs?
price for $6,500, and I'm trying to lock him into that. I'm gonna use that money we moved over, and then I'll probably make a contribution out of my own pocket if I can get him to do it, but,
The Stevens boy.
the problem is with these foundations, and I've applied at least to one, I haven't got a definitive answer yet, but they
Got one of
don't.
Phillips is
I guess
there.
they think they may open Pandora's box or something if boards and localities start applying for money for that kind of thing, so it's a little bit of a, because we have to apply in the name of the board of supervisors, so, it's just like filling potholes, you think it'd be easy, but it's not, it's never easy.
That stuff's just
Uh,
expensive, but.
And it's expensive, but Rita has been, we actually had a meeting down there not long ago, and she's been really very helpful, with me in that.
Do
And,
you have any other playgrounds that are?
Well, I mean, Hayside just updated their playground.
I know this
Peggy's
one out
is
here,
getting
Clintwood's
McClure.
good.
All over
Really
the
good shape.
county, I mean, you know, Trammell.
And the
still have a
Kiwanis
playground
did all of that.
equipment.
Never see anybody on there about that.
But yeah, we're working on it and,
We let the community use ours, and we spend
Yeah.
approximately,
Mr. Chairman, may I suggest something?
I have
Yes.
3 in my
Mr.
district.
Chairman, the Phipps Foundation might receive a favorable grant application.
well, I talked to Paul and actually we're trying to get a meeting together. So yeah, I tell you, the Phipps Foundation has really come through for the community.
they've helped
I
a
mean,
lot of
they-
people. They sure
They have
have.
helped, and continue to help all these years, and I appreciate you, I know you're on the commission. But anyway, so, yeah, we're gonna hopefully have some good
But
with.
yeah, and then Rita's got a grant, that she's working on, and this was, Melanie Baker's idea, and then Rita and I have tried to take it to fruition, mainly Rita, but me as much as I can, but to do a kayaking ramp. So what
Yeah.
the vision would be is you could enter there at Bear Pen, if you
Which
were
would
camping
be a
at
good
Pound
place,
River,
yeah.
yeah, you could bring a truck up there, float to the campground and potentially float on into the lake if you wanted to, but just get it access for river and recreation, and I think we're gonna,
Yeah, we actually.
hopefully
Laura and
maybe
I-
get that.
Yeah, Josh met with us, we met with the guy that we're actually, Neil Kilgore, we're applying for a grant with, Virginia Outdoor. But we met with, Tom Hampton from the Wildlife Resources, and he came down, actually, he's already, drawn us out a plan, told us what supplies we need and everything, so when I get with Larry this week, we can, figure up our budget and get our grant ready, hopefully.
We'll get
to
pretty well
send
ready
in.
to send in for review.
And I appreciate that
Anyway,
more than you know,
I
I really
appreciate y'all
do.
too, because I love things to action to happen.
Me
to
too.
see things
Thank you,
happen.
Rita, I
So,
appreciate that.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, we need to-
So do we have a motion on this proclamation? I can't believe we're only on number 8.
I make a motion
Let's
that
move it.
we approve the proclamation for the Blue Cross,
Is there a second?
or Red Cross, I'm
I'll
sorry.
second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item number 9, a quick claim deed for the Trammell Playground property.
Mr. Chairman, real quickly, the county did not own the playground real estate for this playground that's located in Trammell. We, over the last 6 to 7 months, have been trying to acquire title to that real estate where the playground is located. If you recall, several months ago, Lambert Cole had deeded you a part of that playground.
I remember that, yes.
And then VDOT, through this quitclaim deed, had deeding you the balance of that playground, with the caveat that the county has to move a fence off of the right-of-way. Apparently, the fence that's out front, that borders the highway, the primary road, is encroaching on their right-of-way, and they would like to have that fence set back as a part of accepting the Trammell. And so with this deed, that gives you ownership of the playground.
Any issue with that, Larry? We can get our
So
guys.
just making a
to
note,
do
we'll
it.
have to get our maintenance guys on that, so.
Anybody have questions or motions on this? So I guess, Mr. Phillips, we would need maybe a motion to
Accept.
accept
approve.
it and then
And-
complete the move of the fence.
Yes, and authorize the county administrator to set the fence back.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make that motion that we accept this.
Is there a
Okay.
second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I've been through there 100 times, I've never seen anybody play it.
Item 10, Ron or Larry?
Quit
Tell
Ron,
you
you're at
why
the meeting,
later.
if you wanna share the
I
budget.
can tell you
Yeah, the
why
budget,
later.
I think
I will tell
Toby
you why
spoke to you
later.
guys the last time he was here
I've never seen
about
anybody play
this.
it.
Well, there's a
We
story
had three
behind that.
proposals on budget, and we ended up doing the third proposal, but lowering the overall monthly cost, but it still comes to higher than what it was before. We have a lot of maintenance issues we gotta take care of in the near future, unloader. We're gonna have to buy those in the future, and we still got a piece of the tire machines we wanna buy this year. We wanna get us completely out of having to recycle tires, just shipping them to that one place that never shows up. We're trying to get in the business where we can just throw them all in the trash.
So what's your suggestion?
I recommend we approve it.
That's a motion to approve the budget or the user agreement.
But that's what I,
Well, I thought the budget was listed first. Did I miss that?
Yes.
And the budget's first.
Yeah, that's what I just assumed. But, yeah, I recommend we approve the budget. I'll make a motion to that effect.
It's the same price, isn't it? I mean,
No, it's a little higher.
just a little bit.
It's $1,241 a month.
it's significantly higher.
It's 36, what, am I reading that right? Oh, I'm on
July 1st, it'll be
217.
$13,886.
Over.
Yeah, so it's higher.
$1,241 more per month, our apartment.
Yeah,
bill.
How
yeah,
much?
you're right. It's on the
1,200 and
What are
what?
your thoughts, Larry?
I think it's a service
Those
we have to
numbers right there at
have.
the
and
bottom.
so
Yeah, that,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was the wrong thing.
I'm sorry, Larry, go ahead.
It's a service we have to have, so,
So we have a
Goodness
motion on the floor. Is there any questions for Ron or Larry, on the details of this?
No, but I second Mr. Peters' motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Then there has to be a separate motion on your user
User
agreement.
agreement.
yeah, and Bud, there's no changes that I know of on
There's
this.
just been clarifications and transparency added to it.
Yeah. And
That's
And
what you wanted, wasn't it?
it was. It took us a while to get it, but we did.
yeah,
And the only caveat is to prove the user agreement that it will go into effect on June 1st, 2021, so it'll be in cycle for approval.
and we're getting this stuff done in time for the next coming year, so it's a good thing.
Yeah,
I
very
make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approving the user agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Takes us to item number 11. Larry?
item number 11 is going to be an adoption agreement for a 457 plan with Nationwide. Kind of what brought this about, we have some other payroll deductions as well, but this is primarily for a Roth plan that our employees can participate in. We have one employee in particular that transferred from another location, had been doing this plan there, so he had some rollover, and then wanted to do a current deduction. And our county attorney has reviewed all the paperwork on this. It's basically, we're doing an after-tax deduction on this employee's paycheck and submitting, towards his retirement account. This would be available to other employees as well, but the company isn't gonna be coming out and talking to employees or encouraging them to participate, but it does open up another vendor to.
Did we not already participate in Nationwide in another capacity or not?
I'm honestly not sure,
Yes.
Ms. Willis.
I thought we
did.
did.
Okay.
Yes, you do. But this is a new product.
A new one, okay. This one is a 401, correct?
This one is a 457, like for a Roth
457.
IRA.
Is this
Okay.
where they get so much of their salary and then they match it and?
No, there's no match or
No,
anything.
you
It's
just
simply be
buy
just a voluntary
into it.
deduction going into their
Just you,
account.
if you wanted it to, and it's an IRA.
What this would
It
do,
is
Mr.
just a
Chairman, would
retirement.
allow you have to authorize that deduction
Out of your paycheck.
out of your pay. The county has to allow that deduction out of their paycheck.
Right, the employee, right.
Yes,
It's a voluntary
check,
thing.
yes.
Right, it doesn't cost the county anything, we just have to administer it. And
It's just like
submit the check in.
Aflac and
Yes.
some of those others
Have you
that
heard
we
any,
have.
is there anything we need to be aware of, Larry, or
Not that I'm aware, Mr. Phillips,
No,
you know,
it's just
reviewed the
straightforward.
paperwork and.
does anybody have any other thoughts or questions on this?
I don't. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve this for the employees.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item 12, I know Mr. Mullins back there is eager to get this item on the agenda. Larry, do you want to facilitate, or do you want to let Freddie facilitate this? Either one, I
I'll
don't
go ahead
care.
and start and then hand it off to Freddie. So, of course, you know, Davenport, everybody's familiar with Davenport. You know, they've been really good to work with the county. It's one of the first things that I started when I got here. I had a meeting, you know, maybe January 2nd, 3rd, just right after the first of the year. David had come down, David Rose came down and met with myself, Freddie, and Bud. And we're looking at the Judicial Center. You know, we have 2 outstanding USDA loans for approximately $9.1 million on the Judicial Center. Interest rate's 3.5%, and they mature in fiscal year 2055. So we still have a pretty good time period on that. With VRA, you know, that would be a bond pool. You know, Dixon County, you know, we don't have the credit rating or the ability to go out and issue a bond on our own. We would join VRA for a bond pool issue. Mr. Mullins, myself, Mr. Phillips has been working on this. We've jumped through a lot of hoops. We've had to provide a lot of financial information, just a lot of general information about the county, and we got notified that we passed credit, I think, back on the 12th, I think, Freddie. And, you know, with that, so we can join the bond pool. And what we would be looking at is saving anywhere between $2.5 million and $3.2 million in actual interest savings over the term of this, plus reduce our payments by 9 years approximately. And of course, there's that range because, you know, they're anticipating 3.2 million in savings. It depends on what these bonds are issued at the time of issue. And they also wrote in, you know, if the interest rates increase by 0.5%, we would still save approximately $2.5 million. So it's kind of the overview. Freddie, if you want to jump in and tell more about.
I think that's
Good
very
news,
accurate.
we don't have very much good news.
No, this
I
is,
didn't mean to
this is
interrupt.
all good news. This is the type of news that nobody pays a lot of attention, but you need to be very appreciative of the work your county administrator has done on this. This has been, as he said, a back and forth proposition. There's been a lot of information provided, and we're very pleased to be able to present this to you this evening.
I appreciate you too, Freddie. I know you're involved.
Freddie's put a lot of work into it, as Bud as well.
Good.
Fine too.
Thank you.
That reduces, you said by 9
9 years.
9 years.
If we use very rough math, and it would be rough math, this is just off the top of my head. Currently, if you go to term on your rural development bonds, we borrowed 10 million, you'd be paying 17.5 million back. And we've been able to shave off, hopefully, $3.2 million off of that.
That's great.
And the payment per year, the payments per year are not that different. It's just
Stay
the
basically the
interest
same.
rates are so much
What
better.
is it, 700,000 or something like that?
I'm
What
sorry?
is the payments per year? 700?
It's somewhere in the
Like
range of
700,000.
700,000,
Yes,
something.
ma'am.
But the
Great.
payments are about the same.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's wonderful.
And the savings would all come off the end, that 9 years at the end of fewer payments, so.
One thing that I would mention to you is that this is a bond issue. If the board sees fit to enter into this, there would be a prepayment penalty if you were to pay it off early, so you'd have to bring it to term.
Still 3.2 million we
Pretty
didn't
good.
otherwise expect, so very good. Any questions? Any motions?
There are
There's
a
two
number
pieces.
of documents that will need to be approved so that we can execute this.
Mr. Phillips, should we do this collectively and just say that we give approval to execute, or do we need?
I think you would need to approve each item
Yes.
Okay.
to make
So we'll
sure
do-
that there's a record and a roll call, Mr.
We'll do
Chairman.
the lease and the resolution.
And I do them separately and
I make
and
a
do a roll
motion to
call on
approve the
each one of them
lease.
because they will require showing that this board passed it and what their vote was by roll call.
All right, we have a motion for the approval of the VRA bond refinancing lease Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Phillips, I just want to make sure we have the local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease, and then we have the prime lease. You're comfortable that both of those items are covered under this motion?
You need to have separate. I didn't-
Okay,
Separate.
so which one first?
We have a prime lease.
A prime lease first.
Okay, I'll make the motion for the prime lease, rescind my previous.
I'll second the prime lease.
All right, bear with me just a moment.
Thank you,
And
Freddie.
it's different from the actual lease?
There's the prime lease, and then there's a 56-page agreement.
Okay.
All right, so we have motion second on the prime lease. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
And it's aye for me as well, Madam Clerk, so it's unanimous.
The next one would be the local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease. This would be between VRA and the county, and Mr. Barton is listed as the signatory on that, so he would also need to be authorized to execute that on behalf of the board.
Floor is open.
I'll make that motion that we accept that resolution and give him the authority to sign.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or clarity needed, Mr. Attorneys?
We need to specifically read into the motion the title.
You said local and what?
This is the local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease.
So the local lease acquisition and financing.
Agreement
lease.
and financing lease. This is the 56-pager.
Okay. Ms. Kaiser, do you want to have Mr. Mullins say that one more time so you can?
Would you amend your motion to
Yes.
include Mr. Mullins'
You can read it one more
Yes.
time.
It is the local
and-
lease acquisition agreement and financing lease, and that is between Virginia Resources Authority and the county.
So if you'll specifically state that in your motion.
I can't just say what Freddie stated.
No, that's why I had him read it to you again.
Let me bring it over to you so you can.
Yeah, we don't have
Say it
that.
right now.
We're not idiots, I promise.
Thank you for
We don't have it.
No, I couldn't remember it.
Blocky.
I tried it.
down.
Local and financial.
Local.
Just that top line right
Okay, I
And
make a motion to
lease agreement.
accept the local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease, and to give Larry Barton, our administrator, the authority to sign.
That's it.
Is there
I'll
a second? There's a motion and second. Any further discussion? Ms. Willis? How
Aye.
do you vote? Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye for me as well, Madam Clerk.
Who seconded that motion?
Must have been wrong.
Ms. Kaiser and then Mr. Peters.
Ron.
I didn't hear him, but it must have been wrong.
I'm sorry, I'll try to speak louder.
All right, and then we need the resolution then.
Boy, this is
The other
confusing.
document we have, Mr. Chair, is the resolution of the Board of Supervisors, and I will read this into the record for you if you don't mind. Approving the lease refinancing of capital improvements to county-owned facilities, authorizing the leasing of county facilities, the execution and delivery of a prime lease, and a local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease, and other related actions. So whoever wants to read that, I'll be glad to bring this.
Well, you just read it.
That's the one that's in our
There has to be a
packet.
member in the motion.
Packet.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to, for the resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Dickinson County approving the lease refinancing of capital improvements to county-owned facilities, authorizing the lease of county facilities, the execution and delivery of a prime lease, and a local lease acquisition agreement and financing lease, and other related actions.
There a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Ms. Willis, how do you vote? Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye for me as well, Madam Clerk.
The only thing else I would say, Mr. Chair, is just so that everyone understands, this is for the courthouse. Currently, there is a lease relationship with the Industrial Development Authority. The Industrial Development Authority then pledged that leasehold interest for the rural development loans. All those will be released, and then a deed of trust will be taken on the judicial property.
Very
I
good.
just want to make sure that you understand, see if you have any questions.
All we care about is that $3 million number.
That's what we were interested in.
You handle everything
Yeah.
else.
And 9 years off.
And 9 years off. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Freddie.
Freddie.
Item 13, our auditor agreement,
Yes.
Larry.
And of course, going back to our original contract for audit services dated March 25th, 2016, it had options in there for renewal, and we're going to execute, I think this is maybe our last option, but to renew our services with Robinson, Farmer, and Cox Associates to provide audit services for the county and school board audit for fiscal year 2021 for $49,000.
And they are located where?
They are in
Blacksburg.
right outside.
Blacksburg, is that where they're at?
Blacksburg, yes,
Yeah.
Blacksburg.
They've done it for years.
They've done it for years, and Ms. Cox is very good to work with on this, and they have just wrapped up
Yeah.
we were waiting on the IDA audit to get complete by Mr. Sturgill, and we just got that, so they just finished, and she should have our bound copies of the audit by next meeting, and we will go through the fiscal year 20 audit, but the rate is still the same, $49,000 for fiscal year 21, and that would be for the school board and the county.
I make a motion that we hire Robinson, Farmer, and Cox Associates to do the audit of the county and the school board.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Thank you.
Takes us to item 14, appointments. The first one will be the Breaks Regional Airport Authority.
I make a motion, we reappoint Ron Peters if he wants it.
Yeah, it's adjacent to my community, so it's something. If you guys want, in the near future, they're gonna come out and brief you guys on this. But if you want a synopsis, I can share that with you right
Where's the
now.
airport over?
One of the things that kinda
It's, I don't
interests
know.
me on this,
I know, where's the airport in Breaks?
The airport's over in
Go ahead.
Buchanan County.
I'll second it first.
Where's the
Go ahead, I'd like to hear a little bit. Laura.
Yeah, but I would like to share with you, what I really, I will tell you, during the last term, this project had died because the coal had went down in price so much in 2016. And what I found completely interesting about it was here's some people that had this sitting on the shelf, and when coal prices started coming back up, they brought it back out and dusted it off and started working it. Now, the key thing here is they went to their board of supervisors down there to agree to give them all the coal under that airport as far as the royalties.
You talking
For
about
the severance.
on the Kentucky side?
No, I'm talking about under the airport
Where's
currently.
the airport?
Yeah, I didn't know there was an airport.
Yeah, there's a little airport and they're extending
Is
it.
it
Where
in?
is it?
It's right up there near Grundy. It's right on the left, I think.
Is it the Poplar Gap?
Yeah, well, I don't know where it is in proximity exactly.
Forgive me, I don't know.
But,
I don't know either.
but what I'm trying to get across here
It's on Poplar
is
Gap, isn't it?
they're working at this coal company's hired the coal, they're mining the coal, and then we get royalties back, not us personally in this county, but to go back into the airport.
The authority.
Yes, to go into the authority, and the severance and all that comes back to the town of Grundy or that, they've got a director who was formerly the town manager for Grundy, James King, and I'm just,
I
you know.
like him, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he is, it's kinda interesting that they're looking down the road and they've been working this, and they had to put it away for a while, now they got it back out and working it. I have some constituents in my, district that actually use the airport. Right now it's shut down because of the work being done. It involves some ugly stuff where certain people were in eminent domain and they, of course, needed that property to do this. But they got rewarded handsomely for it and that. So it's progressing. And in the near future, James indicated he wants to come out to each of the boards and give a briefing and a synopsis. But this is stuff that's going on with FAA and everywhere. And if I'm missing something, Bud, that you know about it,
Your summation is correct.
I just look at it, what a great strategic planning. They looked that far down to try to expand this and that.
You got a good, that guy's really smart.
Yes, he is.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Mr. Peters. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well.
I'll abstain because you're appointing me.
He did.
So it'd be
Yeah,
4
he
to
seconded it.
4-0-1. Madam Clerk, Mr. Peters abstained. The next appointment would be Board of Building Code Appeals.
I talked with Gray Edwards. He is in my district. I do not know if these are district placements, but
No,
he
they
does live in
aren't.
McClure, and he is willing to serve again.
They're not county or district appointments, but I'll second Gray's appointment.
Is there any further discussion on the appointment of Mr. Edwards?
I would say some of these folks that have been on there, they're pretty regular. We may have a need, is Eric on this one?
I'm not
I
sure.
believe
He
he might be.
was.
I'll
So,
make a
and-
note and find out.
In the near future, we may have another, so be thinking about that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? We have a motion and second for Mr. Edwards. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. In item 15, Larry, this is, I
Yes.
guess, maybe some good news. I know you and I, and Morgan, we drove him crazy, a lot of legwork on this mowing thing, but it actually, the bids come in.
I think so, bids come in better, so, we'll start out first. 15 is approval of mowing contract, so of course, the board approved us going out for RFP for the mowing contract. And of course, during that time, we also talked about using, some of the workforce participants under Morgan's supervision to do this, but the contracts came, we had eight bidders, and the range was from 39,000 to 105,000, and you should have item 15 and 16 in that supplemental packet that we handed out
I know I've seen it.
right before the meeting. And the lowest bid was Sergeant Lawn Care for $39,000, and that's
I
who's
thought they
currently doing the
wasn't gonna
work.
bid on it.
We did too.
And has been for the past few
Well, he
years.
didn't get on 'cause the postal
And you can
service-
see all eight that bid, the amounts they bid,
thought he
goes from
would.
39,000 to 105,000. And one thing we talked about is if we use the folks in the workforce program, we'd have to tie up a county employee to be with them, to transport the equipment from site to site, to supervise them, et cetera. And, we looked at the cost of that and the savings, we thought, we didn't know if we'd get a bid in this low this time, with increasing prices. I think this year his bid was 38,000, he went up $1,000 on that. And I've got the asterisk there, one thing, in looking at this, looking at all the properties that we're mowing, we have, some other properties that total 3,780 for other agencies that we're actually paying to mow. Now, if we were using in-county help to do that, it'd be one thing, but we're having to hire and pay somebody to mow those, then it's up to the board, if you want to continue doing that.
Well,
Or if
now,
you're in
did
the
we
budget
take
talks.
Clintwood High School off of the,
We did, the high school properties came off, Clintwood and Hayside, came off, and of course, the old DSS building came off. But then we added the Longs Fork, I guess Longs Fork was already there, but, Longs Fork was there with the new DSS.
Well, will they reduce their?
But the
their-
Crane's Nest Trail edition
That's what
added
that
quite a
actually
bit,
is for.
to the
Will they
workload.
reduce the $3,780?
We could if
We
you
take them
choose
off.
to do so, because, we have the two properties at Behavioral Health, the old clinic building and the house up here, then the Victory House. So Behavioral Health has $2,310 of that $39,000 bid. And social services is $1,050, and the health department is $420, so it'd be $3,780.
so if we take those off, who's gonna mow those? Is that the one, the
That's just-
workforce?
That's up to them.
That's up to their boards.
On the mowing, proposing to go ahead and award the contract to Sergeant Lawn Care.
Yeah, I
And then-
knew that.
And then with these other properties, we can, I guess, go to the other agencies if they want to have Sergeant Lawn Care mow for them for these
Yeah.
amounts. We can roll it together, or they can do their own mowing, or the county can continue paying for their mowing with that. It's really up to the county, but I know we're looking to save anywhere that we can. And,
Would we have to, so they're strictly mowing, not the cleaning?
yeah, strictly mowing on this one.
Okay.
But it's the same, he bid on those too.
Yeah,
bid on those
yeah,
too.
we would have to
I just don't know how he can be
have
that low.
equipment, so.
I really don't.
I'm
So,
good with
whatever the pleasure of the board is, if you want to explore the workforce to do the mowing, we can, but we think these prices that the bids come back in, we're
Yeah, I
probably gonna be
think we
best
I think
to
we're crazy just not to do that at
No, I
39.
think
go ahead and let them do that.
I think so too, and I think.
What about these, are we going
We're
to,
doing the mowing, then the cleaning separate. So just
Yeah,
I
draw
understand, but
draw
are we
your
going
line.
to, you gonna approach these people and tell them they're gonna start paying for their mowing?
Well, that's what
I
he
think we
wants.
should, that's
Yeah,
my
I think we
recommendation, if the
should.
board
I
wants to
think
go
we
that
should.
route.
Yeah.
So are you saying the 39,000 that Sergeant bid you would subtract 3,780 from that?
Yes.
It'd be the 35,220.
If
for the
that's what we
county's part,
approve.
if that's what the board chooses to do.
Well, in the request for proposal, did we list all these other ones, or?
We did, we listed all
Okay,
the
I just wanted
properties
to
and then
clarify, yeah.
what the RFP did, it asked that the county administrator, or the committee, which myself, Teresa, and
Yeah.
Cindy actually opened the bids, and then I called the successful bidder, and then you can do the negotiations. I asked for a breakdown of price by property.
Okay,
So if
you
we
got
did
it
consider
all.
pulling those
You got it
properties
all.
off, how we would get those amounts.
You
So
explained that, I'm sorry.
That's
So I
okay.
guess what we need to do is, number one, make a motion that we approve it
I'll
at
make a motion.
39, well, at 39, with all the properties listed, including behavioral health and social services and the health department, or make a motion that Larry approves the contract excluding those properties. So one or the other. See what I'm saying?
No, I do,
Make the motion for the 39 or the 35.
Right.
yeah. And the 39, you're gonna come back to it, we'd have to revisit it if they don't wanna do it.
Well, not really. I mean, we just tell them
So
we're not
your,
doing it. We're not
your
paying for it.
motion
Yeah,
should say
yeah, and then
that
we-
you're gonna
we-
do the bid at 39 with these exceptions, correct?
Yeah,
No, we would be doing the bid at
39 or 35, 220 at the
220.
bottom.
35,220.
so are you
And we
looking,
would instruct Larry to let them know we are no longer paying for their mowing on property we don't own.
Okay.
If that's what,
But we
that's
just
what I
want
wanna
the
do, but
We
it's
own
up to the
building,
board,
they have a
obviously,
lease,
but
only
I
if they
think
lease the
that,
building from us.
I think it's a no-brainer.
well, I
$100 a month.
agreed, I thought you were leaving it open for them to pay for it and.
Well, I don't think I guess you could frame your motion that way if you want
Yeah.
to, but I,
I make a motion and,
Mr. Chairman,
Go
if
ahead.
I might, this was under an RFP. Normally, you would call the bidders in executive session, closed session, and have them present their bids and negotiate, and you'd rank all of your bidders. And in this particular situation, the statute says if you find that there's only one responsible bidder, you don't have to do that. So in your motion, you have to state that the board finds that there's only one responsible bidder, and that would be
Sergeant Lawn Care.
Sergeant Lawn Care.
how would we find that? I mean, well, they're the lowest bidder, but.
They're the lowest
You're
bidder.
familiar with his work, he's done the work before.
Okay. Well, the floor's open for motions, but my vote,
But this year was the year we was supposed to put him back out to bid. We gave him the option of renewing it for 2
A
years.
couple of years, I think is what it was.
And this year was the year that it was to go back out to
Correct.
bid,
which is why we done this, because we thought
Yeah, we
Mr.
did.
Sargent wasn't gonna
bid on it.
do it anymore.
Right.
the others are out of scope.
Well, I make a motion that we,
You find that Sergeant.
Sergeant to do the mowing with the
Is the only,
exclusion,
is the only responsible bidder,
is the only responsible bidder due to his past service
yes, and price.
and price, and exclude the ones that are listed below.
Oh, you're making a motion for 35,220.
35, with a total of $35,220.
So we have a motion to award the mowing contract for county-owned properties and extend that to Sergeant Lawn Care pursuant to the RFP.
I'll second it.
For 35,220, and Mr. Peters seconds. Any further discussion? Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye for me as well, Madam.
Now, Larry, you probably have to call them.
I'll reach out to each
others and
agency and talk to them about that.
tell them.
Now, Larry, this is if you want to elaborate on the next piece, the
Okay.
cleaning piece. Morgan, do you
So
want to
start
call
down,
it?
we'll have Morgan jump
If you want
in.
to sit down, Morgan, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. Y'all know
Yes.
Morgan?
No, I
everybody?
don't know him.
Morgan is our community work program director and
You look
slash
familiar
drug
to
court
me.
coordinator. He actually falls under Josh Newberry's office. But Morgan does an outstanding job with the drug court and with organizing the community work program. So what we have, and we fund this agency, if that's the proper term, Larry, I guess.
Yes.
But it's kind of an arm of both the circuit court and the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. So if we have a defendant Typically, how you see this program work is a defendant goes before the circuit court for sentencing on some kind of felony. We've not opened it up to misdemeanors yet. We hope to do that, but it's typically a felony, and it's a plea agreement wherein it's a nonviolent, typically, and usually non-drug related defendant who is healthy and should otherwise be working and us not pay $50 a day for them to stay at Hayside. They will go into this program and do community service in Dickinson County. I know Morgan's worked a lot with all three of our towns, Clinchco, Clintwood, and Hayside. He's worked down at McClure Kiwanis. He's worked at some of the recreational facilities, and today they picked up with Ron about 100 bags of litter. So anyway, Morgan's a great guy. He worked for the sheriff's office, worked for the jail, and he's a really good guy, and he's doing good work for the county. But anyway, I don't know if y'all want to ask him any questions or if you want to add anything.
I need to have you follow me around if I go to talk anywhere.
Well, I do have a
who that big
question.
guy was.
And I want to support this program 100%. Are we gonna be able to maintain manpower for this?
Well, Larry, do you want, go ahead, if you want to start it, or Larry, and start what we're thinking on this.
Now, these
Let
have
me
to
give
be
the
done on
background
the
real quick, and
weekends
we'll turn it over to
also.
Morgan. So,
That's the only thing, but I'm
Okay.
good with it.
What do you?
They do have to be done on the weekends, isn't that
Yes.
Oh, I
correct?
thought you
Yes.
said only, I'm
Said-
sorry.
No, they have
Yeah.
to be done on the
7 days a
weekend
week.
also.
yep,
And this is the
The bathroom.
the 3 bathrooms.
And we can, that's just a matter of tweaking a few words in the agreement that they signed that, you know, we would probably, and I thought about it some, and I know I talked to Josh and Larry, and we've talked to some of the other county employees about, you know, how to, the best ways to do it, and I still don't know that because we don't know what's expected yet, so I don't know that we've come up with a concrete idea, but we've talked about maybe giving one person, and we also have several people that are doing community service in the drug court that do the same type of community service. They don't quite do as many hours a week, but they still do the same thing. Let's just say we've got Rhonda Sluss here that's in our work program, and we're gonna give Ms. Sluss so many hours a week to do that, whatever it is that she does, and she would do one, and maybe somebody else would do another. And I think that's kind of what I had leaned towards, but it's, you know, nothing's set in stone. We can do whatever. If we find that won't work, we'll come up with something else. And we're not pigeonholed into only doing it during the week. I feel like we can help. It would be a little different from what we do now, but again, I don't think it's an issue.
How many participants do you have right now?
Right now, the drug court, which they do some community service,
Right.
I think that's 18, and then the work program was 13, and I think we locked a guy up yesterday. We violated a boy yesterday, so we're back down to 12. When I first came in the summer, it had gotten up, I think, to 18 or 19, and we drug test them and, you know, try to monitor their behavior and monitor that they don't get into charges. And of course, they're free, you know, these are not like work release inmates, these are not trustees, they go home at night, they're out in the community with all of us anyway.
So you have approximately 30, with the drug court, who, I know they're limited, but approximately 30 individuals. So you have plenty of people to handle this.
I feel like we do, as long as we don't, you know, we just, what was it, 2, 3 sites? I don't know.
3 sites.
3 sites, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something we can do, and, you know, we'll just, you know, it's something different, but it's, you know, it's another way we can save the county, and of course, all those people that are not in jail is $40 some odd per day per person, and I think the last 3-month period, I sent this in to the Commonwealth Attorney, and I think to Mr. Evans, the last 3-month period, I think just in jail fees alone, we saved the county $54,000.
Which is huge. And they're picking up litter.
Yeah,
And they're helping the park at McClure. I mean, they're
We
doing
need
so
to
many
keep-
things.
We all need to probably see stats like that, because that's important. Metrics is what I'd like to see it for the dog catchers and all that.
Now, I don't mean to rush you or cut you off, but this was all really my idea. So if you don't like it, blame me. Don't take it out on Morgan. This wasn't his idea. I'm just trying to save us money. And to me, when we have 20 and 30 community service workers who were supposed to be doing things to benefit the county anyway. And we have those people available and sometimes kind of looking for things for them to do. I know Morgan has had to get creative on some things, and maybe with the weather breaking, that will be a little easier, but frankly, kind of looking for things for them to do. Why would we, it just don't make any sense to me, given the budget situation we're in, why we'd pay somebody to clean bathrooms when we have this program that we fund.
Well, you know, if you look at the county, why aren't they picking up all this trash?
Well, they are.
We did.
We're gonna do ours on the ridge ourselves.
But they are.
We put, with the help of the sheriff, actually, he got out with us, him and Scott Owens, chief deputy, and.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say, Morgan, the only reason I asked my initial question is because I know we need more help if it's available. I don't wanna see the crime rate go up to give us that help either. You know?
Well, it's a pretty stringent, go ahead.
And that's why, you know, like something like today, we left the town of Hayside and went to the breaks, and I think even down into the grassy there in the breaks community. I actually thought it was originally just at the park, but I think Scotty and Jeremy and maybe somebody else, they went on down even farther. And Adam Martin, that works for the town of Hayside part-time, he actually said that I think that their number was 79 bags.
Yeah. Well, and I'm good with it because all I wanted to make sure is you're comfortable that you can take this on. And
Yeah, I mean, I feel
that's
like
all.
Well, we've talked about it extensively. I drove him crazy. I've asked him to stay here 2 hours tonight. But to me, it's just common sense. I don't know really why we wouldn't do this. I mean, to me, especially given,
It'd save
you know, if we got
$14,700.
plenty of money, then it probably don't. Who cares to pay to clean a bathroom? But we don't. And then we have this program, and it just seems like a common sense thing.
We also, as a county, last term, made an investment in this program.
Exactly.
And we need to utilize it.
Exactly.
So I wanna support this as much as possible.
That's exactly right.
And I feel like we are, and now, you know, of course, there's a budget, I don't know, a few $1,000s, and now a lot of my money, because I do drug court as well, 3/5 of my salary is grant money through circuit court, so the county doesn't even pay half what I make, so but of course, we always wanna help the county save
Just
money.
like,
You know,
you're talking about saving almost $15,000.
Will most of these people have,
At the lowest bid.
transportation to these sites?
Yeah, what we would have to do, and that is an issue.
That's a good question.
That's something we have to work around. We do have some of them now,
I don't
especially
think
drug
it'll
court, we
work.
try to help them get,
The driver's license.
get their driver's license back and get them more active. You know, it's hard to be a good member of the community and a productive.
You gotta have a
member of the
driver's
community without a
license to
driver's
do
license.
anything.
Is that, doesn't the One Stop the Workforce have a program that helps people to get reinstated?
They do, and I
Okay.
know we've had several people in the drug court who have
With
done
that?
yeah.
Oh, good. Then that shouldn't really be a cost to them either, because they help pay for that, don't they?
Yeah, we're trying to utilize that with everybody that's eligible.
And I'll tell you, our circuit court judge is really, he was the first, when he was Commerce Attorney in Russell County, he was the first that I know of in the coal fields that done this work program thing, so, and not to say that it matters one way or the other, but we have the support of the court for this program, and I think, and what I mean by that is, he's gonna do everything in his power, to make sure this is successful.
He's also funding it, cause he's part of the grant.
Yes,
funding
so
that
this matters to him, and so
Yeah.
I guess, and the only reason I emphasize that is I really think this can be successful, because they're.
Would you go around to the bathrooms and see that they do their job, or what?
Yeah, and that's part of, even, you know, all the work, I know they've been, and they called, you mentioned the McClure Kiwanis, they called again today, actually, they're going back down there Friday, I think.
Yeah, that looks good around there.
Yeah. I go, if they're somewhere different, or, you know, even if they're at the same place, I stop in every so often and check, and then, of course, all the work site supervisors, have my number, and I talk to them all, and you know, of course, the sheriff's office, I think the county funds that, a litter officer
And if there's an issue, I'm sure Morgan will address it.
And you know,
Or David's pledged to cooperate, David
Yeah.
Salyer,
Yeah.
so, and he don't like it probably, but he said he would help keep an eye on it for us too. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
because
cut
they
you off,
gotta have
Rob.
some way to haul the trash off out of the bathrooms or whatever, you know.
Yeah, And you know what, I don't know what the answer to that is, if they haul it off, or if maybe, you know, somebody says, well, I've got a car, I can't, and we'll have to think our way around that. You know, even if it's something as simple as, well, I'll stop my truck and pick it up after work, you know, set it. So, you know what I mean? I don't know what the answer to, of course, everything, but yeah, we'll come up with something.
Oh, I can tell you, we get complaints even from our experienced workers that clean these bathrooms. We get complaints from our experienced workers that clean. And the Crane's Nest Trail, they have to walk the trail, I think it's once a week,
Yes, and pick up trash. and
twice a
things.
week, to pick up trash.
And that's one of those things that, you know, of course, that's gonna take longer, and I use the Crane's Nest Trail fairly often. I actually walk out, I was out there yesterday. You know,
I can just tell you, we get complaints from these people that we have give it to.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're gonna get complaints from the workforce.
Only thing I've got a complaint about Crane's Nest, they didn't have any soap. It's the only thing I've got a complaint
Yeah, I
about.
don't know, I actually,
What's your phone number, Morgan?
it's 395-0895.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just make one couple of points. Number one is that some of the contracts we have are with federal authorities. Some of the facilities are owned by the Corps of Engineers, and some of the facilities are owned by us. And so those federal, there are certain standards that we have to meet, and if we don't meet those standards, then we're going to run afoul of potentially the federal contracts with the Corps of Engineers on those issues. The rest are owned by the county.
And the pound recreation has to be opened at 8:30 every morning? Isn't it 8 or 8:30?
Locked every,
And it's locked every evening. So you've got a worker that's going to have to be responsible for
Know
that.
which one's that?
Pound River
The
has to be
Bear Pen?
opened and closed twice a day.
Now, Pound Ridge, I
is
thought
it Bear?
It's Bear Pen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Bear Pen.
Oh, yeah.
So we have,
It's the
we
Pound
have
River
to,
Recreation Area.
and we have agreed in those contracts with those Corps of Engineers that would occur. That's part of our contract with
So I
them.
guess my question on that is,
And, you know, that makes it a little, you know, that makes it a little harder if there's something, so we're in a contract with Corps or something we have to do, you know,
so let me ask, I'm sorry, Martin, this don't have nothing to do with you. So right now, we're paying the dog warden, so he goes and does that on county time and then gets paid extra? So he takes the county vehicle down there to open that now?
No.
You said he opens it at 8 o'clock?
I don't think, I
Well, that's what
think
they
that Frank, this old Quinn's husband used to do it, Jack used to do
Who's
it.
doing Bear Pen now?
Bo is doing Bear
So you're
Pen and
telling
Crane's Nest.
me that we've got a county employee who takes a county vehicle on county gas on county time to open it, and he's getting paid the extra supplement? So that's.
I don't know if he takes
what-
his own vehicle or
I don't know what
what
he's
when he
driving.
If he
opens.
has to open it at 8:30, what time's he clock in?
Does he?
I
That's
don't
what
know
I'm saying.
time-
This is
I don't know what
crazy.
time he opens it.
This whole thing
Maybe
is.
he don't have to open it. Maybe somebody else opens
Well, yeah, maybe he's got a county truck, Larry tells him to go open it and not pay him $900 a month. I mean, I don't know.
Don't
It
they
just
have
seems
somebody-
crazy to me.
I was thinking that Jack O'Quinn had that, I wasn't
So
sure.
can you tell us
You're
who has it
right.
now, Larry?
Miss
Right
Sutcliffe's
now,
been paying.
Larry's gonna tell you.
Nobody
Okay,
has it
for
now, the contract.
Crane's Nest and Bear Pen, Bo Dotson is doing both of those now, that is animal control. And for Spillway, Chris Wood, which bid down there again, he has Spillway. Of course, Spillway's only 4 months out of the year, Pound River 7 months out of the year, and of course, Crane's Nest is year round.
Correct.
We need to give a copy of the RFP to you so you can see those specific requirements. And they're built out of the federal contracts that require us to do those things. It's just not this board making those decisions, the feds have made those
Well,
decisions.
I mean, that don't sit well with me if that's what's, and I assume that's what's happening, so.
Oh, it is.
We need to let, my goodness, why should this be so hard to save $15,000 to send some community service workers to clean the bathrooms? Why are we having to even, goodness gracious.
It's our contract to use those facilities.
I understand, and Morgan's telling us they'll make sure they're clean.
I-
We send somebody that's got a county truck anyway and tell him to open it. That shouldn't,
I agree, Josh, but I think what Bud brought to light, we do need to make sure we don't violate anything with those federal agencies too. So we need, that is a good sign of caution. As much as, you know, so I'm not opposed to it, but we gotta make sure. And I don't know if this matters or not, but with Bo doing both, yeah, I kinda share what you feel, Josh. But I also don't know, cause you get in, I don't know whether this applies, this is out of my expertise, Bud, but I just know I experienced it in a
They
previous
may open
career.
it at 8, I'm not
Where
sure
it
what the
got to where
contract
you were
says.
moving, this was this person's defined duty in his paycheck.
7.
Was for those duties. But if you told me you had to start coming over here and doing extra stuff, you get into an alternate workplace and that could drive some different things. So.
When is the, I'm sorry, Ron. go
No,
ahead, sorry.
I'm good. I
So
just-
my understanding is that what we're locked into now would go through the end of June?
What we are right now is at the end of March is where we're at. So April 1st would start the new contract.
We're kinda there.
So what I would suggest, and I don't have it, the concern, but I understand your concern and Mr. Phillips's point. I can't imagine the Corps of Engineers, I've seen how they maintain their property. I can't fathom that they would question somebody sweeping and taking the trash down there. But what I
Don't
would
get me wrong,
suggest.
I still wanna do this. but
I would
if we
suggest
can,
Larry
just
get
gotta make
those
sure.
requirements,
We can
and then
get
we
that.
give Larry the authority to, let Bo do it another month, or whoever, give Larry the authority to figure it out for a month, and we come back at the end of April.
We
Mr.
can, or we
Chairman,
got the budget
Teresa
workshops
says that
next
the
week.
contract
We can
says so
We got the
many
budget
hours
workshop
after
next week.
dawn, and then so many hours before dusk, that
So it doesn't
they
give us
have to
spec-
be open and closed.
So it doesn't give us a specific time?
No, it's so many hours after,
Well, that's easy then, well, that's good.
so he may take his own vehicle and do those
Well,
things.
yeah, I don't know, maybe he does.
Yeah.
We're here and we've tried to, of
I
course, we
appreciate it.
provide daily to the town of Clintwood, the town of Hayside, town of Clinchco.
So we're saving them money, but
Yeah,
not us.
We've actually, speaking of your all direct savings, we actually just lost this guy because he just worked his way out of the program, and I don't have anybody to replace him with right now, but the county truck shop, they've been working a guy 40 hours a week, so that's savings directly
Yeah.
from the county.
We can let Larry work through these and then
Come
we
back
can
next
meet up
month.
at the
I
workshop.
can report back to the
and make a
workshop
final
Monday or
decision.
Tuesday, and we can pick back up on this.
There needs to be a motion, Mr. Chairman, whereby you postpone any decision on, you got RFPs been submitted on a cleaning contract.
Yes.
And so you have an option either to postpone that decision at some point down the road to make that decision, keep the contract in place, or to right to reject any and all bids, RF, requests for proposals. So you have to do something with that tonight. And probably,
not
if I understand what you want to do, is probably you wish to postpone
Postpone
until
we get more information.
RFP for another month.
I'll make a motion, we postpone the RFPs. It has to be
For
for a
cleaning.
month or,
For the spillway,
Is it
Pound
possible we
River and
can
Frank's
solve
Next
Nest.
week, I think
For all
we'll
the
solve
cleaning,
it
for the
next
cleaning
week.
contract.
I maybe do it either or, possibly table it until, or postpone it until next week, or postpone it until the regular meeting. Or let's
You'll
put it,
need-
let's do,
I don't
postpone it.
think we can postpone till the regular meeting, because they're probably open before
Let's
then.
postpone it next week then.
okay,
We
we'll
can demonstrate.
postpone it till next week. I make a motion, we postpone it till next week.
So you're going to
We can
table it. So
finalize
the proper
it at the
motion would be to
workshop.
table,
Table until the budget workshop on
Yeah.
Monday.
yes.
Yeah,
But, so it's covered through the end of this
Yeah.
month, so.
Yeah.
All right, is there a second or any further questions or discussion?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? And again, I've said it 2 or 3 times, I don't want to continue to belabor this and keep you here longer, but I just tried to bring a common sense solution to save a few $1,000s. I just don't know why everything's got to be so hard, but we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well.
And
Thank
the
you.
big litter pickups, we are gonna try to continue those. I think, the sheriff and I
What's
talked
his
about,
name?
you know, just that time of year, the breaks is getting more busy. That's a big thing in the county, you know, so we want to clean that up. And, ideally, we're gonna hit, you know, whatever main drag in some of the other districts, you know, that's coming. Just a matter of time, and you all have my numbers. We'll come get hold of the Commonwealth Attorney's office. Josh has all of my contact information.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he definitely has it, so if anybody needs anything, feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you all.
And Morgan's a great
Thank you.
asset to us. He's helping us with two people right now at the old DSS doing that work on the building down there.
Yes, and they've
Him
been down
two.
there, yep.
And we've got two people here at the building that he's given us to help pull up the slack for Scott's out and things. So Morgan's always great. Anytime I need anything, I can always call him and he'll, I've called him before and said, can you get me somebody tomorrow to help? And he always pulls through.
Absolutely. We
and
called
takes
him
care
that
of it.
night on the mattresses, and he had people here
Yeah,
that
people
morning.
next
So if
morning,
y'all
you know.
put his number in your phone.
I do.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan.
See.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right, we'll move on to item 17.
Travis won
This is the resolution that we had the public hearing on regarding the data center tax exemptions. Mr.
Adoption.
Phillips, do we need anything?
Adoption of the ordinance.
Yes, sir. Okay. Does anybody have any discussion on that or need any more information?
I make a motion that we pass the ordinance on that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Item 18, this is another matter we had in public hearing, the adoption of the tax levies. Is there any motions or discussion on that?
I make a motion that we leave them the same.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. I don't believe did we have other business, Larry?
No, none that I'm aware of.
Anybody have any other business they want to bring up? Okay, so we'll pass that.
We have a workshop on Monday.
Monday and
Monday and
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Monday at what time?
What's that?
9 o'clock
9
both
a.m.
days.
You have to get out of bed.
Monday and Tuesday.
We don't have any business,
We
Pete?
have to get out of bed.
I guess if you want biscuits.
What's
I
that?
think he asked me was I bringing biscuits. I
I
said,
have
if
to
you
get
want
up at
biscuits.
8 though.
Okay,
when
we're
the
going to
kids
item
come. I
20.
get up about
Uh,
8:30.
We're meeting Monday.
Does somebody want to make
Monday
a
and Tuesday
motion?
both. We got back to back.
Now, we was gonna add something else
Yes,
to
we're
that.
going to do A and B
A
piece.
contract for the daycare center.
Yes, so
The-
we're going to add B, personnel, and then C, consultation with legal counsel. And I don't remember, I
It
have
was
written,
the daycare.
Contract for the
the
day.
daycare would be consultation with legal counsel. So what, that is 3711
A7.
A7. So we'll need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 3711 A5, A1, and A7. So it will be economic development, personnel, and consultation with legal counsel.
And broadband. You forgot broadband.
Well, it's all under economic development, so however you want to make the motion, but I think that would cover it.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2, 3711 A5, A1, and was it 3?
7.
A7, I'm
Seven.
sorry.
7.
To discuss economic development with the subpart of broadband, personnel, and consultation with legal counsel. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well.
Don't have any motions to come out, correct?
No. All right, the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors now comes out of closed session. Entertain a motion to certify the matters discussed in closed session.
I'll make a motion that we only discuss those issues that we previously went into closed session for.
Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and second to certify matters discussed in closed meeting. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye for me as well, Madam Clerk. Certifications pass unanimously. There are no motions, as far as I know, from anyone coming out of closed session. Move on to supervisor comments. It's been a very long meeting. Ms. Willis, do you have any remarks?
No, I don't. It has been a long meeting. I think it's a productive meeting.
I agree with what, Mr. Chairman, did you call me?
Yes, no, go ahead.
I agree with what Shelby said, and, happy birthday to Josh.
Josh, is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday. He don't wanna hear it, cause he wants to go home.
You know what? I don't want to hear it because I'm 35.
I just want people out there to know that we're working hard,
Your best age.
and we're working hard
You
to
are.
try to help Dickinson County.
Ms. Kaiser?
I don't have anything. I think it's productive. We got projects, we got ideas. We're just looking for movement and things going good for our county.
Peter?
I'm good.
Reiterate all the comments. Appreciate Mr. Phillips, Mr. Barton, Mr. Mullins, Ms. Lyle, Sheriff Fleming. 10:30, been a long meeting, and I think Ms. Sluss said it very well. We are working extremely hard, and it may not, hopefully there'll be some fruits, from all this soon, but we are working as hard as we can and trying to be as responsive to the people of Dickinson County as we can be. But at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
There's a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please
I have
signify by saying
a
aye.
doctor's appointment.
Ayes, meeting adjourned.